Hello, noble ones. Hello, hello. Thank you, Ray Gonzalez, for the 5 Metatron memberships on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Good evening. Greetings. All right, so welcome everyone, welcome. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I prepared quite a few tabs. It's gonna get intense. Get ready. How you guys doing tonight? "101 says I left Candace Owens for this." I appreciate that, thank you. Joining from France, hey Annalie, Faith, good to have you here. So much has happened in the last week, it's unbelievable to think of it. You're absolutely right, Ray Gonzalez, and again, thank you for your support, man. Yeah, that's why today's going to be a long stream. So if you've got like popcorn or you've got pizza, order pizza. Like I mean it. By the time the pizza's delivered and you get ready to eat it, we're still going to be here. So we got a lot to talk about. Lots of different topics. Some are going to make you face palm. Some might even upset you towards me. But you know me, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say what I think. That's what I do. I don't pander. I just speak my mind, and I trust in the fact that you will appreciate the intellectual honesty, and most importantly, the respect that I have for your intelligence, so that I don't just say what I know you'll agree with, but I might also say things that you might disagree with, and that's okay. Subjects, my friends. It's gonna be multiple. We're gonna have multiple subjects. So I'm gonna start. So I've got all the tabs here. We do have a lot to talk about. I'm just gonna let the first couple of minutes. So for people that will watch this as a VOD, you might want to perhaps skip the first couple of minutes, because I'm just gonna interact with chat if you want to get to the meat and bones of the video. And but for everyone else who is here live, once again, thank you so much for joining the live stream. I really appreciate you taking the time from your life and just to come here, have a good time, enjoy. And we'll do some gaming as well, by the way, because I'm really hell-bent into completing this game that I've been playing almost every night live, mostly live on Rumble and Twitch, a little bit on my gaming channel, Metatron's Protectorate as well. But tonight we're going to continue it right here. So we're going to have a good time. All right. And I've got a few things to show when it comes to my X account, or account on X. So we'll deal with that. But first I want to acknowledge, of course. By the way, how do you guys like the purple and yellow for tonight? I just wanted to give it a little change. I thought, why not? I always like to use contrasting colors, if you will. That's what I like to do. 1 second, just double checking that the Wi-Fi is okay. Okay. With the wife being pregnant, I mean, I always double check on her. I hope you don't mind. Okay, yeah, she's fine. She pushed the call button by mistake. Not a problem. Just double checking, you never know. So anyways, let me have a look at a couple of super chats, because we don't want to be disrespectful. How do you like this black background, man? That's intense, isn't it? All right, let's move to display capture, so we can show a couple of super chats. Really appreciate. So let me see. Okay. All right, so thank you, Janku. I know people call you Italian Asmongold, but what about Ezio from Assassin's Creed? Yeah, that would be cool. Ezio Auditore da Firenze. You don't need a T, by the way. It's just Ezio in Italian. Ezio Auditore da Firenze, if you want to say it the Italian way. And thank you. Well, I mean, usually it's European Asmongold. That's what I heard. I never heard Italian Asmongold, but I mean, sure. Will says, I trust in the fact that I will be upset. Hopefully. We'll see, Will. We'll give it a try. I'll do my best. Purple reminds me of Kings. What is third chat? Rumble. This is Rumble. Right now we are live on Rumble as well. And I mean, I'm also connected to Kick. Perhaps later on we'll give it a try, because today I'm going to have a lot of tabs open, which is why I'm trying to keep it as a multi-stream between 3 platforms rather than 4. I have done 4 multi-stream. Maybe not right now, but we'll see. But perhaps later when I do gaming, so even if it crashes, it's not a huge deal. So yeah, it could be an idea. My Rumble notification actually worked. You know what happened on Rumble the other day, which was absolutely insane? It's a very new account, of course, and I'm already very blessed for the amount of numbers that I'm getting. Like, I'm hitting really, really high numbers when it comes to the uploads. But usually live streams, they're like, I get like 30, 40, 50 people. Man, the other night I was playing a game and I was literally simply multi-streaming between Twitch and Rumble. And then at one point I'm like, oh, it's getting a little late. Let me check. I check. And like on Twitch, I had 40 people. And on Rumble, I had 1,300 people watching. I'm like, how did that happen? How on earth did that happen? But yeah, it's a thing that did happen. Do you take video requests from livestream chat? You can give me ideas and write down things. It's not a guarantee that I will do it, but you're more than free, of course, to let me know if you had ideas for videos. Sure. Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. Buon Natale. Same to you. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Half Sword gameplay. I've played a bit of Half Sword on live, and man, it was fun. Mostly funny. I'll be honest with you. That game cracks me up. Really, really funny. Let me move Rumble a little bit to the side here, so that I can actually see this better, because I've got my camera in front of me. It's not like I've got a good setup. And all of these like kids that have been streaming for like a month, and they already have a much better setup than me. Everything is better, everything is smoother, and I'm here just trying to figure it out after 12 years. I mean, if you don't... Hey, you know what? I got OBS to work. I'm happy with that. I can do all sorts of things with OBS. I can have a coming soon image. Look at that. How do you like that? I can do a be right back if I need to go grab a drink. And I even have a, what I call composite, which is a screen. I know I'm kind of like, why are you even showing this? I don't know. I'm just being like a normal guy. I'm just being a friend. I don't know. But anyways, I've got a screen that I call composite, and it's what I use when I start a gaming only night, because people... Usually when I start gaming, I don't immediately jump into the game. I talk a little bit with chat. And so people constantly ask me, what are we playing? What are we playing? What are we playing? So rather than repeating the same thing 15 times, I do this. So I have my little... I'm very proud of it. I don't know what to tell you. It took me a while to figure it out. Anyways, I did this. So you still have the main camera, but then on the side, I change and swap the images for the games that I'm going to play. And I don't know what to tell you. I'm very proud of it. I love it. Anyways, thank you so much, Adonis Adams, for the support. You probably get asked this a lot, but if someone were interested in acquiring Italian or Sicilian, what resources or approaches would you recommend? Well, for language learning, Sicilian is going to be a lot harder because there's going to be a lot less material for it. And I myself have been considering making a series of like teaching Sicilian in like, I don't know, 10 episode course for my language channel. We'll see. But in general, if you're working with Italian, well, whatever language you're working with, you need to try, apart from the immersion approach, which I've discussed a lot of times, trying to immerse. So like watch TV series, watch YouTubers in the language, try to play games in the language, switch your phone in the language. But the other thing that I would strongly suggest is to try and create meaningful connections. So it would be great if you could interact with people. It is the best way to do it. It is what it is. Let me make sure that the music is not too much. In fact, maybe right now we don't really need the music, do we? Thank you, Ray. Yes, that's gonna be the first topic, by the way, Rob Reiner, because I've got a lot to say. But yes, rest in peace, Rob Reiner. I agree. The victims of Bondi Beach and the victims of Brown University, absolutely. And did you hear about the professor at MIT? We're gonna talk about that too. All of this we will discuss today. And may they rest in peace, and may the Lord give their family strength to get through this time of struggle. I 100% second this, and I really appreciate and very proud. Proud, is that a good expression? Righteously proud that you are a subscriber and member of the community. Thank you very much for being decent. Snurdly, thank you for subscribing with Prime. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. You find languages fascinating? Tell me about it. I've dedicated 15 years of my life entirely to language learning. I was like obsessed with languages. Hey, Raf, how you doing? Hey, Baron. Good to see you, Baron. He's my lead Discord mod and a good friend. So very cool. Good to have you here, guys, on Rumble. Appreciate that. It's pronounced Bondi. Really? I read it the Italian way. Because in Italian, I would read it Bondi. And it looks Italian, I'll be honest with you. But if the Australians pronounce it Bondi, I guess I'll just say Bondi out of respect for their language and culture, I suppose. I mean, it's fine, I guess. So, yeah. Bondi, then. Hope all is well with the missus. She's fine, yeah. She was doing a little yoga, and I think afterwards she was going to play Genshin Impact because she's really into it. Instead, when it comes to me, I've really been into Final Fantasy Tactics lately. I've already unlocked all jobs except for the mime, and it's looking really good. It's looking really good. Yeah. So how are you guys doing today anyways? Let's talk a little bit about you before we jump into the topics. And just so I don't forget, let me just let me write down here that we're going to talk about the Bondi. It's so weird for me to say it. Beach. We're going to talk about Brown University. We're going to talk about MIT. MIT professor in Brooklyn, I believe, he got shot in his own home, and it's insane. Guy was like a genius. What a waste. We'll get into that as well. Yeah, a lot of things to talk about. A lot of news. In fact, it's difficult to keep up with the news. By the way, have you noticed? Because I need to ask. In fact, I should probably start the stream with this question. Have you noticed that I've been posting more regular historical content lately? If the answer is no, damn the freaking notification thing, because I posted 3 historical videos in the last week and a half, and I'm planning on continuing to do this. I won't only cover either political topics or culture war topics, but I will. So I think it's good for me to continue to also post those videos that some of you just prefer, right? The problem is, of course, that you don't get notified. So my suggestion would be, I'm preparing a video on the way the Romans built their aqueducts, then a video on the way the Roman bathhouses functioned. It's in details. And then a video on how they made cement. So these 3 videos will be released in the next couple of weeks. So my suggestion is, since you will not get notified, just like I noticed people didn't get notified about, like I recently made a video on Roman border patrol and immigration control and border security, if you will, and how they utilized troops and the approach of the Republic and then the late Empire. Nobody got a notification, barely hit 10,000 views. And then I've recently made a video on AI utilized to interpret ancient Roman documents and the sort of discoveries that came about from the deciphering. And I thought it was a really interesting video. That one did decent. I won't complain about it. It's close to 40,000 views, so it means people did get notified. But yeah, just if you don't want to get a chance, my suggestion is, every once in a while, rather than relying on what you see on the homepage or the For You page and whatnot, perhaps it's a good idea to just click videos and latest uploads and just have a look at the last, I'm going to say 14 uploads, because remember, I post twice a day, which means 14 uploads, it's 1 week. And maybe there will be something historical, and you'll be like, oh, that's an old school video. I like that. So that you don't have to rely on the notification. Because I understand it can be frustrating for you. And I 100%, I'm always grateful for all of you watching my content and supporting. But sometimes in the comments, I notice that people tell me, man, I wish you just did history, but you don't do it anymore. And I'm like, I literally just posted one today. But it means that that person didn't get notified for it. And I will, if I see it in the wild, if I see a comment, I'll tell them directly, but I can't do that for like thousands of people. So there is that. Greetings from Pompeii. Hey, Kaisar, are you in Pompeii right now? Thanks for all the free entertainment over the years. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Very him. Appreciate your support. Can you react to the time travel artist? Is he a YouTuber? I'm not aware of him, but I'll check him out for sure. Today, we have a lot of videos I want to react to as well. So when we finish with the articles, we'll jump into the videos. And then after that, we'll do some gaming. That's the plan for today. So just wanted to let you know that that is happening. YouTube algo is so depressing. Yeah, mostly because now the number of subscribers doesn't matter. It's on a video basis. So like, again, I posted a video 3 days ago, barely hit 10,000 views, which is ridiculous. And then 5 days ago, I posted a video about like Al-Andalus, so Spain, and some statements that they were made when they were under Muslim influence, and then the Reconquista. We spoke about it a little marginally. It wasn't even an in-depth one. 105,000 views. I'm like, how does that even make sense? One video's barely 10,000, and then another video 105,000. What? I would rather guarantee a 60,000 upload average rather than, well, average actually it's fine right now, but I'm saying 60,000 every upload, don't worry about the 100K, rather than one is 100,000 in a couple of days and another one is like, oh, 9,000 views. Like, what? But that's what we have to deal with, isn't it? It's kind of crazy, but that's how it is. So we work with what we have. That's crazy. I know. Yeah, it's insane. It's completely insane. Yeah. No, I've already told you what we are talking about. Not really complaining, in fact. I'm not complaining. I am letting you know how to find the content you like. It's not even complaining. I'm annoyed by the algorithm, but no, I was mostly talking to you now, like when super chats and stuff. This was just to let you know. All right, and also I'm waiting for people to receive the notification of the live stream. Let me double check the statistics very quickly before we jump into it. We're a little bit low still with the numbers. Might need another 5 minutes tops, and then we jump into the topics. We'll do that. Yes. All right, let me bring up chat again. Let me see what you guys are saying. Thank you, DB. Just curious because I don't know what your stance on it is. What are your thoughts on Trump post about Rob Reiner's murder? We'll talk about that one too. We'll talk about Trump as well. Mostly first, I want to talk about Rob Reiner in general and the response that some people have provided. I've got some screenshots. I've got some stuff to show you. Obviously, my take, and I will repeat this again as we jump into the video, but my take is that it's awful what happened to him. My heart goes to his family, and I wouldn't wish this to my worst enemy. That's what I'm gonna say. And but we will read. I've got an article that tells us a little bit about it for those of you who don't know about it. So yes. Do you understand Corsican? No, I don't understand a word of Corsican. Not a word. Watching from India. Hello there. Where in India are you from? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's time to jump into it because we have a busy live stream. We should absolutely start doing it. Now, of course, any super chat I will share. If you see that you super chatted and I still haven't responded to it, it might mean that I want to finish a point, but I will not forget. And occasionally on my live stream, I do a little bit of a like let's see if I missed any super chats. So I always do that. All right, number one. So first things, I would like to speak about what happened to Rob Reiner and his wife. So here we've got an article that we can discuss. and the title is Rob Reiner and wife Michelle's official cause of death revealed 3 days after murders. Rob and Michelle's son, Nick, is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with their death. So for those of you who don't know, Rob Reiner and wife were murdered in their own home. They were stabbed. Believe it or not, even me saying this word now will demonetize the video. So thank you for all the support. It literally happened. When I talked about Irina Zaruska, the whole video was demonetized because I just described what happened. But that's what we need to deal with. Anyways, so they were stabbed as they were sleeping, I believe. And it's an awful thing that happened to them. Need to know. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, died as a result of multiple sharp force injuries, according to the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. Their son, Nick Reiner, has since been charged with first-degree murder. First-degree murder. That is insane. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I want to read a little bit. Robert Reiner and his wife, Michelle, died of multiple sharp force injuries. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office has determined that the manner of death was ruled a homicide. The couple's son, Nick Reiner, has since been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the deaths of his parents. Previously, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office said Rob and Michelle were stabbed to death in their Los Angeles home during the early morning hours of Sunday, December 14th. Nick was arrested near the University of Southern California several hours after his parents' bodies were found, authorities said. Okay, so if you follow me on X, I went on an absolute rampage in the sense that I posted something like 12, 13 separate posts about this the entire day. I want to start with the first post that I made so that you see what my stance is, what I think about this, and what I think any person with basic human decency should react to something as horrific as this. Before we talk about any politics, in fact, I don't even think bringing up this person's politics matters in this situation. We will, because I know that people will in the comments, people did under my post. Let's read it. I said, what happened to Rob Reiner and his wife is absolutely horrific. Being stabbed to death by their own son in their own home is a tragedy no one should celebrate, no matter what you think about his politics. If you can't offer condolences and you can't show decency, sit this one out. Get offline for a few days. So this is my general basic stance on this. Believe it or not, some people get really upset. I got some backlash because of it. Somehow, and I really don't understand how this is possible, but people, after I spent the last 3 months of my life and almost 180 posts pointing the finger and going after every single progressive of left or left-winger liberal that laughed at Charlie Kirk's death, and I said that was indecent, inappropriate, awful, evil. After all of that, somehow people thought that I was gonna laugh and celebrate the death of Rob Reiner because he's a left-winger, or because he was an ultra-liberal, whatever the heck you want to call him. Like how? How are people expected? Wouldn't that be, in fact, worth of unsubscribing at that point? Wouldn't that be a lack not only of basic human morality and decency, but just coherence? Like if I found, and if you found, what's some of the worst the left has to offer, if you found what they did when they celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, and they laughed and giggled and did all the disgusting TikTok dances and all that nonsense, if you thought that that was deplorable, despicable, and you attacked it, as you should, then shouldn't we show then how it's done? Because otherwise we become just like them. Now, there are 3 types of people. I want to make this one clear. There are 3 types of people when it comes to what happened to Charlie Kirk and how they reacted. And then we'll see how this works in this situation. And then I'll hear what you have to say and I'll listen to your words. But here's the thing. There are 3, we saw 3 types of people. You had people that said, that laughed and celebrated, okay? They are scum when Charlie Kirk died. Then you have people on the opposite side that said, oh, what happened to him is awful. It's disgusting. I'm saying on the left. What happened to him is awful. It's disgusting. I condemn it. Great. And then you had lukewarm people. And they annoy me. Not as much as the people that celebrate it, clearly, but they do annoy me because what they do is that they want to say what happened to Charlie Kirk is disgusting, it's awful, it should have never happened. But they have to make a massive premise to virtue signal and say, so I thought that what he was saying was wrong and I disagree with all of his politics and I do not agree with him, guys. Did you hear me? I'm not a bigot. I didn't agree with the guy. His politics were awful. His message was dangerous. And I really, really mean it. I disagreed. I'm one of you guys. I'm one of the good guys. But it shouldn't have never happened and I condemn the violence. You know, I'm never going to do that because it shows that you are afraid. It shows that you are scared that people, just because you're being decent, you don't need a justification to be decent. And if you think that your side, so in that case, the left, radical, if you think that they're gonna now think simply because you're showing human decency towards what happened to Charlie and his family, if then they think you're some kind of traitor or are you saying that then you agreed with his bigoted views? It's on them. F them. Likewise, I'm not gonna do that now. I'm just gonna say, I'm not even going to premise it with, so guys, as a conservative, I disagreed with the takes of Rob Ryan. Who cares? I don't need to do that. To justify what? Basic human decency? No. I'm just going to say what happened to him is disgusting. It's awful. And in fact, I can't shake from, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm weird, but I can't shake from my mind the thought that this man and his wife, they went to bed without knowing that would have been the last time that they could have talked to each other. Imagine the things they could have said. You know, if that happened to me, I would have wanted, of course you can't know it, but perhaps I would have told my wife that I loved her one last time. And then instead, this guy woke up, maybe he woke up to his wife screaming as she was and he couldn't defend her. Like, who cares about the politics, right? I don't have to, it's not a sign of weakness to show human basic decency. And I wouldn't wish, while he was alive, I would have disagreed with his politics. Who cares? I don't need to say it though. And I hate that people will expect that. And that's the first thing that I want to say to begin with. And this is going to be a deep one. I got a lot of things. Because yes, I've seen people laughing about it. Then at that point, the people that are laughing about it and saying it's funny, people with 150,000 followers, by the way, not a random guy with one follower, people that saying it's funny, he deserved it, and that kind of stuff, you're doing the same thing. And then the people that were, so then you're in no position to do what I did and point the finger at the people that laughed at Charlie Kirk. I can do it. And so can you if you maintain decency. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we need to stop now fighting this war for what we believe in. No, absolutely. Stand firm. Defend what you believe in firmly. But when something like this happens, I think it's important to also show a little bit of basic human decency. Let me see what you think about it, and then we'll jump into the next thing that I have to say about what happened to Rob Reiner. Because I have a few things to say. 100%. Yeah. Let me see. Hate that kind of people. They simply want social point. Yeah, you're right. The people that have to create a massive premise. Give me a break. DBZZ, completely irrelevant, but I rewatched The Princess Bride yesterday. Yeah, because he was the creator, right? No matter his politics, his work will be remembered forever. Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Very unfortunate, I agree. You agree it's atrocious. It is atrocious. Your own son. Can you imagine that? The son was a lunatic? Yeah, probably at this point. I think there's a drug situation. Yeah. Someone is asking me in Italian, if you're baptized but you don't go to church, are you Catholic? Yeah. I would consider you as a non-practicing Catholic, but you're still a Catholic if you're baptized in the Catholic Church and you believe in it. That's what I would say. Probably a little out of place here, but fine, not a problem. Okay. Cool. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to cover this, Baron. You say shows that the issue is deeper than right and left. It's the culture. I hope. Yeah, I will show you. I will tell you one more thing that I have to say about that. Absolutely, I'll show you. There is one thing that I have to say about the culture that we are forming at a society now, and it's disconcerting. Exactly. Even if people disagree, it doesn't mean to wish such a horrible thing to happen. Absolutely. It isn't funny. How can people say it's funny? It's insane. Yeah. You're the dude on YouTube that makes you armor videos. And yeah, that's me. That is me. Appreciate. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here, Crash. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. So one thing I want to say, and this is going to be a little bit of a social experiment. Follow along with me and tell me if you really think, man, this is true. You know what's funny? And it's not funny, but I'm saying it's funny simply because it's otherwise I'm going to scream. So I'll just unironically say it's funny, even though it's not. Is that when it comes to like basic human decency in a civic sense, as people who live and share a country, for instance, I'm sure 100% guaranteed that there will be things that I can say and everyone will agree with me. For instance, I could say, you know what? I think it's wrong to litter. It's wrong to just go around and throw rubbish and garbage on the floor of the city. It's not private property. It's public. It's a public space, and it's nice as citizens that share a city to keep it clean. And I know for a fact that people will agree with me. Doesn't matter at that point if you're like a freaking white nationalist, Christian nationalist, far right, centrist, left wing. It doesn't matter. Who is going to say, no, it's good, yeah, litter everything, destroy all of that? No. Most people will agree as a basic concept of decency within a civic environment. Let's not litter in the middle of the street. Likewise, most people, I'm saying, of course, the people that do litter won't care about it, but I'm saying in general. Likewise, if I say, when you are using public transport, you shouldn't be a nuisance. You shouldn't scream like a maniac or misbehave. And I think most people will be like, yeah, absolutely, yeah, it's true. I can come up with 100 of these. 100 things when it comes, it's just a matter of being decent and being not rude and being polite. A lot of people will agree regardless of politics, whatever your leanings when it comes to social issues, when it comes to economics, whatever, what have you. We'll agree on this. You know what it is that we disagree these days instead? Cold-blooded murder. That's the one thing that when I say, I'll give you 2 examples. Someone says something I disagree with, I think it's good that he gets shot. Or if I say, oh, that person, they died in an atrocious situation, it's perfectly fine to dance on their grave, ha ha ha, it's appropriate answer. We got into a space where now the answer to that will be, I don't know, what were their politics? Oh, was he a conservative? Then it's a bigot, he deserves it. Likewise. Oh, he was a Trump deranged liberal? Oh, he deserved it. How? How can we live in a mental space now whereby, yeah, you shouldn't litter, the floor is fine, but bloody murder is, that's the one thing that we'll disagree on, because it depends. Is he a bigot? Is he a commie? Goodness gracious, how did we even get here? I don't know. Well, hopefully you'll help me understand that. But that's where we are right now. Continuing. Because as I say, lots of topics today, so I kind of want to move a little faster. Let me show you. Where is it? There it is. Okay. For instance, there were a few takes I wanted to share with you. Let's see what you guys think. Andrew Colvett, whoever he is, he said, Rob Reiner responded with grace and compassion to Charlie's assassination. This video makes it all the more painful to hear of he and his wife's tragic end. May God be close to the brokenhearted in this terrific. Yeah. And I said, very good and compassionate take by Andrew here. And yeah, I don't know if you watched it. Now, you will. I know that some people in chat will show me something something crazy that Rob said. They will put it in my chat, but Rob said this. Right, but they did the same with Charlie Kirk. They took a random thing, they put it in there, while people are saying what happened to him is tragic, and they'll put you, yeah, but he said this, so what? And after time, those quotes weren't even real. Which, by the way, today I'm going to debunk one of the quotes that they are associating. I know there are quite a few batshit takes that are associated to Rob Reiner, but there are also, which are real, but there are also some that are false, and people are bringing them up just because that's what they're doing. And still, regardless of what take you, unless it's like a direct threat or incitement to violence, then I'm thinking, why didn't the authorities get involved at that point? But if it's something simply on the basis of, well, I disagree, then no, I don't think it's good that he died the way he did. So I liked this. And when it comes to, Rob Reiner did respond publicly to what happened to Charlie Kirk. We'll watch it. And to be fair, he was nice. So I appreciated that. I did appreciate that. But I'm telling you, even if he didn't, that doesn't mean that now I'm going to base my morality on the worst my enemies have to offer. I'm not going to base my moral compass on, but the worst the progressive side has to offer did this, they laughed and such, so I'm going to do the same, that they're going to be no, if anything, because I hate that, I'm going to do the opposite of what they're doing. And even though I do it because I truly believe it in my heart, even if you don't believe that, it just makes more sense even at the tactical level. Anyways. Same with Think Before You Sleep. You might know the channel. He has been exposing the likes of Abroad in Japan. Excellent channel. And he says, rip Rob Reiner. What a horrible thing to happen. Nice, short, concise, to the point. Excellent. This was good. To me, this was good. And then this guy instead Hammer 666, appropriately numbered, and he has 150,000 followers on X, by the way. This isn't a small account. He says, funny to see people simping from Rob Reiner. Are you insane? I'm not going to pretend it is anything but funny that he's dead. Virtue signal. I'm not virtue signaling anything, you satanic slave. I'm not virtue signaling anything. If anything, I'm just trying to be decent because I hate people like you on either side at this point. Now, did we get the same numbers of people laughing at Rob Reiner's death when compared to the number of people that laughed at Charlie Kirk? No, there were more people that laughed at Charlie Kirk. Maybe this also has to do with the fact that Charlie Kirk was more prominent in the political space. I don't know, you would need an actual analyst, but I did look at the numbers, and it's not the same. No one is saying it's the same, though. The only thing that is the same is my approach to tragedy. And someone that you'll see, I'll show you all names and receipts today, someone said that that's me trying to be holier than thou, and it's not. Although then again, the bar is so low with these kind of people that literally everyone is holier than them. You, everyone watching, holier than them, holier than them. It's the easiest thing in the world because they keep the bar so low. But it's not even for that. It's not for that. I'm doing it not only because it's what I believe in, first. Second, it's because I believe that that's what Jesus would want me to do, and I'm a Christian. And I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I'm going to not defend myself. No, I'm not a hippie, okay? So I'm not one of those Christians that are like hippie 2.0, but at the same time, I'm not going to follow Satan. You know what I mean? I thought that would be obvious. In fact, that's not the only post that this scumbag clown did. He also said this, he, good riddance. And I've seen quite a few. And I say, what the hell are you laughing at, appropriately, hell? This is a tragedy. So, awful response by some people. It really is despicable to see people reacting like that. Also because his daughter found them. His daughter, who's completely innocent when it comes to this, found both parents and now has to live not only with the trauma, but also with the fact that it was her own brother who did it. Can you imagine that? And I get it. Maybe we're being desensitized to this because we think, I don't care, she's probably a white liberal. Apart from the fact you don't know. Maybe she's apolitical. Maybe she doesn't care. But even if, I'm looking at her as a human being. I'm not looking at her as, but I disagree with the politics. Not now. Give it a few hours, give it a few days, give it a few weeks, give it a few months. I mean, whatever. Goodness gracious. So yeah. Another person of large following, Laura Loomer, I think she had an awful take on this. She said, Rob Reiner was a loser, she says. Do you remember where we were saying, man, Charlie Kirk has just died and these people are waiting, this body's still warm, they're already jumping on him, on his widow. There you go. Naturally, his son was also a loser, and he got addicted to drugs and allegedly murdered his parents. And then she posted this, right, to kind of justify, see, so I can call him a loser because Rob Reiner said this. So what did he say? Let's read it. Rob Reiner, until Trump goes to prison, I will no longer be posting on Twitter. I've had it with the insults and put downs. F all of you MAGA assholes. Right. You know what the problem is with this? Is that he never said it. Now, do you remember when, what's his name? Stephen King made statements about Charlie Kirk and said, oh, Charlie Kirk was a bigot. I'm not going to laugh or cry for this. He was a bigot because he wanted gay people stoned to death. And then there was a false claim. He never said it. It's the same thing. She's doing the same thing because I checked this, guys. It's false. He never said this. He never said it. So I said, awful take. What happened to this man and his wife is terrible. Now it's not the time to talk about his politics. It's time to show compassion to the family and the victims. I know, guys, that the word compassion and the word empathy has been jeopardized and it has been utilized to manipulate you. I get it. But we also need to understand that now compassion and empathy hasn't become an evil thing just because there are some elements within the political space that manipulate it and use it to manipulate you. I know. But we need to be... It's difficult. That's why it's difficult, but we've got to be balanced on some things to the family and victims. Have you learned nothing from the disgusting responses towards Charlie Kirk and what happened to him? You're doing the same. You say loser, they say bigot. And I say you're all indecent. His family is grieving. His daughter's scarred for life. Be decent. Also, it seems like he didn't even make the post. Sounds a lot like what Stephen King did towards Charlie Kirk when he posted about Charlie wanting to stone gay people, which was not true. He, meaning Stephen King, apologized once corrected. Will you? And I'm just going to say this because, you know, when Stephen King did that, I was ready to go to freaking war against the man to defend Charlie Kirk. But he apologized. So, was he in the wrong? Yes. But I appreciated the apology, so I didn't make an entire video as I was going to do, because you know me, I attacked every single, like I literally being on a hunt. I'm being on a blood hunt for the people that were indecent towards Charlie Kirk. But here we are. So at least the guy did apologize and said, I was wrong, I shouldn't have said that. I should have double checked. Is she going to do it? I don't know, but I'm calling you out right now, Laura Chen. I don't even care if we may. I don't even follow her, to be honest. But maybe we do have. Maybe we agree on things about politics. Who knows? At this point, I don't care. I'm going to ask you directly. Are you going to say it? Are you going to retract that? Last Europa says, I watched my mother die of cancer and was the worst thing I've ever experienced. I couldn't imagine what she's going through right now. Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Mocking death, especially murder, is as low as someone can get. I agree. Absolutely. Pira B in the chat. I don't know what that means. Let me see. So yeah, Ryan says, the moment they started jumping for joy over Charlie Kirk, they opened the door to this happening to theirs when they are taken away from them in horrific ways. Right, but as I say, I don't base my morality on the worst my enemy has to offer. I can still fight for the politics. I can still fight for what I believe in. I can still fight for... also because, by the way, the reason why I was saying this isn't tactically advantageous. It's because... yeah, I mean, if you are completely radicalized, then you'll agree with that, whatever. And you'll say, well, serves you right. You did it to us, we do it to them, great. But all the swing states, with all the centrists, the moderates, the people, that's not going to work well with them. You're going to lose votes. It doesn't work. Instead, it's a great opportunity to take the moral ground. Still, again, don't let your enemy walk over you if you really want to look at it this way. But showing a basic level of decency, also because, once again, I've seen people that claim to be Christian and they are laughing all over this. They're saying, I hope this happens to his daughter now. Sorry, but that's not, you'll have to be judged over that. And I'm not going to want to be you, but I'm telling you that much. When I die, I want to be able to tell the Lord, I was firm, I fought for what I believe in, I fought for my family and their future, but I didn't go down to the same level as these awful people. No, I'm not going to do that. But again, why would people expect that from me after what I did with Charlie Kirk is the crazy one. All right, let me check a couple of super chats and then we continue, because I don't want to be disrespectful. Let's put it here. Let's move this here. Look at all this moving around. All right, hey, Metatron, to pull from your current topic at the moment, if I wanted to buy armor to wear like a Roman armor, what would you recommend? Fabrica Cacti. I'm going to type it on Facebook. It's scary and sad that country's politics has become so divided that people are justifying. Absolutely, yeah. DB completely irrelevant, but I rewatched The Princess Bride. Yes, I read this one, so I believe I am surprised since Corsican is from Tuscan dialect and studied Italian. Right, but I think it's quite different. I mean, I could try and see if I can understand a little bit. Last time I heard it, I didn't understand anything, but maybe it was anecdotal. Yeah. Can you react? Yeah, I think I read the rest. And as I say, I know I'm talking a little bit about strategy as well, because I know that that's the only thing that will connect to people. But to me, it's not even about that. It's just about, I don't like laughing at people's murder. I don't think we would give a good example to the youth, to the people watching, to the people looking at us as content creators, particularly if we have a decent following. And then they look at us and then they see that we laugh and we mock. What example are we giving to the new generation? To me, that's important. And if people are going to think, man, you're so obnoxious, you think you're better than other people, so be it. At this point, I don't care. As long as it works and I give a good example to the younger following that I have on social media, and they're like, you know what, I thought that being all about, serves you right, the burn in hell was cool, but now that I see this, I actually think I want to be like this, then it worked. And then I'm fine with people thinking that I'm some kind of condescending, arrogant person that just believes is pontificating on what's morally right. No, I mean, if we're laughing at bloody murder, I don't think it doesn't even need moral pontification. Should it? Are we really that low? Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. All right. So, yeah, and it's not even a matter of, are you comparing the same? I'm not even comparing. I'm not comparing. They are different. They're different things. But anyways, let's read Trump. See what Trump said. All right. So Trump said, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Starting good. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump Derangement Syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. With his obvious paranoia reaching new heights, can't even read it well, as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectation of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Okay, so let's talk about this. Good beginning, good ending, stuff in the middle. Personally, and I'm just going to say it, I think it's out of place. I think it's out of place and it's in poor taste. Some people call me a traitor because of it, by the way. Somehow, I mean, let's be honest about this. The only person I'm never going to criticize is Jesus Christ. Everyone else, Pope included, is open to criticism. Right? I think that makes sense. So to me, obviously, because there are also people telling me, so are you saying that this is as bad as people wanting for the children of Charlie Kirk to be offed? Obviously not. Clearly not. But I can still say, while I'm not equating the two, I can still say, personally, I wouldn't have made it about myself, meaning the Trump Derangement Syndrome, and I wouldn't have made it into a kind of political pushing on to look how good the administration is doing right now, because, I mean, he has plenty of situations where he can do that. He doesn't. Personally, I think that was out of place. And I would have just left it at this. Imagine what a potent statement it would have been if President Trump said, a very sad things happened last night in Hollywood. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. I think that would have been, because then people could have said, you see, radical nut jobs tried to off this man with an assassination attempt, and he said this? Because to be fair, yes, he did have Trump derangement syndrome. It's clear. No one is saying that that's not true. I'm just saying it would have been such a much more powerful statement from the presidency and a lot more appropriate. You can call it pearl clutching. No, I'm just sharing my opinion. Everyone is open to be criticized. Nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. So, yeah, of course I understand the guy, they almost shot him dead. I get it. And sometimes, he's vindictive. I still think he's better than Kamala Harris. I cannot stand Kamala Harris. But think about that for a moment. If you're a conservative and you watch me, or you're watching this, and as many of you are, imagine that someone asks you, do you like Kamala Harris? And you're going to say, no, I really hate her guts. So, once again, does that then give people on the left a justification for laughing about your death? I say no. So likewise, just because Rob Reiner hated Trump, I don't think that that should be enough of a justification for us to then dance on his grave. That's just me. That's my philosophy. Agreed, disagree, whatever you like. So let me see. Let me see what you guys are saying before we move to the last person that I wanted to cover. This guy, my gosh. Get ready because it's going to get... Oh, it's going to get really bad. It's going to get really bad. You'll see. You'll see. So let's see what you guys think. I agree with you. Appreciate that. Thank you. His death was a loss to many. Yeah, his family. Personally, even if it was just his family. Even if it was just his family. Let's see. Lord forgive them because they know not what they do. Yeah, when it comes to extremism, I agree. To be honest, Sticks and Hammer response was a surprise to me. Yeah, I didn't know the guy. Maybe you do. I'm not going to follow that guy, ever. I can tell you that much. You say, in Trump we trust, and that's fine. If that's your political position, as I say, I do believe Trump was better than Kamala Harris. But I can still say when I disagree. Again, I made 4 videos criticizing the Pope as someone who was brought up Roman Catholic. I think anyone can be criticized for anything. Bless, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that. Wow, 3-stream streak. I appreciate that, Sussy. Thank you very much. You're watching Asmongold? That's cool. Awesome. I didn't know it was live. Very cool. Hail Odin. Oh, that's funny. We got a Hail Odin, guys. Okay, so let me show you this last person that I had a massive clash with, which was insane. Can't believe it, but that happened. And it's going to get ridiculous, and then we move to the next topic. But it's going to get ridiculous. So, where is he? Let me see. Yes, this guy. So, I just made my posts, my normal posts, and they triggered an individual called Isaiah L. Carter. Isaiah L. Carter. He really got pissed. And yeah, so this guy here, you can see the picture, he said, you are the one angry at Trump for saying less than positive things about a deep state rat who was one of the several pushing the Russian collusion hoax. Stop it. And you're still congratulating yourself on somehow being above the fray, I never said that, while refusing to address the reality of the middle part of what he said. Does it make you feel warm and tightly to be such a coward? Apparently I'm a coward. I'm a coward. Also, he said, I stated my case yesterday. You and others' weakness in the face of darkness disgusts me. So he's disgusted because I said, guys, let's not laugh at a murder and a guy being, yeah, that's weakness. And then he says, I'm not a Christian. So keep this one in mind. This guy things. I am not a Christian because I am showing basic, not even advanced, basic compassion for someone who just died at the hands of their own son in their own house. That makes me not a Christian. So the reality that I would like to ask this guy, we tried to have a conversation, it was impossible, he just kept insulting me. There was no way. It was all twisting and strawman and insults. He called me a little girl and all that. Yeah, okay. So it was impossible. But really, what is a Christian then? Someone who laughs at someone's death? Well, then, all the progressives that laughed at Charlie Kirk, they're all fantastic Christians, are they? Man, I really swear, people like this, people like him, and he has got 150,000, 140,000 on X, doesn't even have a YouTube presence, but he does have that. People like him have such a contorted and twisted vision of what Christianity is, that it's completely unrecognizable at this point. You, like most conservatives apparently, have been beaten into weak enablement of leftists' evil in this country, he says. To me, and I made 180 videos to attack the radical left. But then I make one post when I say, yeah, but let's not do what they did to Charlie Kirk. Let's not laugh at this guy. Then I'm what a clown. Oh, goodness gracious. And he kept going. He was like, he just said, yeah, apparently said, that's me, right? Look upon me, for I am holier and more righteous than all of you on the internet. How dare this peon check me on my moral cowardice? The leopard must eat my face at the very last. Hilarious, absolutely. So this guy is there are a lot of things he said that are absolutely insane. Apparently I'm narcissistic, of course. Yeah. That's what we have, guys. This is the moral fortitude that this is someone who, by the way, the passage that he used in the Bible, that one also I find it repulsive. That he will. I know that progressives use, and atheist progressives manipulate the Bible without any context, and they tell you, oh, but here it says to be nice to foreigners, and I'm like, it means legal. Like, let's look at the Hebrew word. So like they do that. I know it's annoying, but he's doing the same thing because he's saying, where is it? Ecclesiastes, a beautiful verse, by the way, that says 3:1, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. How this, which is a gorgeously deep passage, can be used as a justification for laughing at someone's death is beyond me. But hey, he tells you who the real Christian is, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure Satan agrees with you. And that's all I'm going to say about this topic, guys. That's all I'm going to say about this topic. Let's move to the next one. So next topic, I wanted to speak about something that happened. Let me see. Has to do with academia, my friends. People are such degenerates, I agree, my friend. Here we are. The Telegraph tells us, woman recognized as first Black Briton by BBC was actually white. Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed that specifically academic authorities in the UK, meaning the United Caliphate of Urdu, would take bones and incorrectly tell us that's a Black Briton, so the black people have been in this inclusive Anglo-Saxon reality for so long that they are British automatically. That's the point. And they not only they were wrong, but they were so wrong because now they did this is hilarious, they did new DNA analysis. They were so wrong that now even AI, even Gemini AI, when you ask, will not even try. They will like, yeah, they were wrong if this woman was actually white. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. Yeah, Ray says, my God, what a shock. Imagine my surprise. Oh, let me tell you, man. This is going to be hilarious, and I'm so in for it. Bannon says, I feel this could be a good time to make a video on the year of lead and its relevance. Love your videos and keep firm in the bias through. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I'll consider it. We'll see. Okay, cool. Let me see if I'm missing someone else. Sky Blue says England. Yeah, you're tired of all this? Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Yeah. Tell a Sicilian the Aaron Christian seems kind of paradoxical. I mean, sure, but then again, yeah, I suppose. But here we are. How's Rumble? He made their death political. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Okay, so let's read this because I'm just going to have a great time. All right, DNA test shows beauty head woman originated from southern England, face lab at Liverpool John Moores University. I'm surprised. I'm just going to tell it how it is, guys. I'm surprised they were allowed to publish it. That they didn't, let's say, like, no, hide it. You're not allowed to do that. A woman was recognized as the first Black Briton. Ooh, they lost like a major ace by the BBC. Was actually white, a new genetic study has shown. In 2016, the series Black and British: A Forgotten History suggested, what a bunch of clowns, suggested that the Roman skeleton of a woman found at Beachy Head was from sub-Saharan Africa. So imagine that. They're like obviously jumping all over it because they're like, ooh, that's perfect to, own the Chuds and all those racists. And then it says a plaque was erected to commemorate her heritage. So this is gold comedy, which was later removed when a study suggested the woman was more likely to be from Cyprus with a Mediterranean complexion. Now a new DNA analysis of the skeleton by scientists at the Natural History Museum has shown that the woman originated from southern England and was white with blonde hair and light eyes. So she was the freaking Antichrist for the anti-white professors at university right now. Man, what an own. Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Let's keep reading. Dr. William Marsh, who carried out the genetic study, said, open quotes, by using state-of-the-art DNA techniques, we were able to resolve the origins of this individual. We show she carries genetic ancestry that is most similar to other individuals from the local population of Roman-era Britain. Close quotes. Who would have said? Who could have imagined that she didn't look like someone from Congo? Who would have imagined that? The claim about the skeleton's African origin was made in Professor David Olusoga's documentary series, which told the story, you could say the fantasy story, of the, open quotes, enduring relationship between Britain and people whose origins lie in Africa, close quotes. Good choice of word. In episode 1, the Beachy Head woman was presented as sub-Saharan African in origin, and the program featured a reconstruction. Ooh, are you ready for the reconstruction, guys? Of her features with dark skin, hair, and eyes. Boom. So that's what she looked like, they thought. In the program, Professor Olusoga remarked that, open quotes, she's a Black Briton, close quotes. No, even if she was, okay? Because it's not like it's unheard of. It's extremely rare. Because guess what? Britons were in black. But it did happen sometimes in southern. Because you know me, you can come here. I'll tell you how it is. There was some, at least when it comes to mixed individuals, there is some evidence when it comes to like southern port cities in England during the Anglo-Saxon period that you had like a half African, half Briton population, but we're talking like not even, like we're talking like 1 out of 50 graves in an area where like everyone else looked like a freaking Anglo-Saxon or a Briton, depending. And but that doesn't make them Britons. It makes them Africans who moved to Britain. And I'll get back to this because I have something to say about this. What makes you someone belonging to a specific culture? And we'll talk about it. But even if they were right, and this specific individual was black and from Africa, that would make it an African in southern England during the Anglo-Saxon period. It would not make them Brittonic. It would not make them Anglo-Saxon. It would not make them Celtic. It takes a lot more in terms of generations to do that. But we'll go over it. While Joe Seaman, an expert archaeologist explained that her African origins and the age of her remains were likely to have made her the earliest Black Briton. See how they immediately go into this? Because, of course, this isn't about education. It's about mental manipulation. However, in 2017, an initial genetic study suggested she came from the Mediterranean, possibly Cyprus, rather than Africa, so already there. In light of the research, the plaque was removed in 2022. So it took them, let me get this straight, it took them 5 years to remove the plaque. 5 years. The Roman era skeleton is thought to have been discovered, so Roman era, in the 1950s, although no details of the excavation have ever been found. The remains were discovered in a box. Okay, great. Now it has been confirmed that the woman descended from the local British population of Roman-era southern England. Radiocarbon dating showed that she died between 129 and 311 AD. Man, this is even older than I thought. Corresponding to the Roman occupation of Britain. Impressive. Analysis. There she is, guys. Look at this. Look at this African from Congo. Analysis of her skeletal remains. Côte d'Ivoire. Analysis of her skeleton remains suggests that she was around 18 to 25 years old when she died and stood at over 4.9 feet. A healed wound on her leg, she got an arrow to the knee, suggested a serious but non-fatal injury at some point in her life. So she's basically a Nord, isn't she? From Skyrim. Scientists reveal, dietary analysis, looking at the carbon and nitrogen values in her bones, also revealed that her diet was likely to have included a lot of seafood. Yeah, enjoy the seafood. Dr. Selina Brace of London's Natural History Museum said, open quotes, our scientific knowledge and understanding is constantly evolving, and as scientists, it's our job to keep pushing for answers. Yes, and not pushing politics, I would have added, or propaganda. Thanks to the advancement of technology that has occurred in the past decade since the beachhead woman first came to light, we are excited to report this new comprehensive data and share more about this individual and her life. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been ongoing scientific debate about the skin tone of early Britons. I wouldn't call it scientific debate. If I'm gonna be honest about this, it isn't scientific debate. With some researchers suggesting that the constructors of Stone Age were black. Yeah, those are clowns. However, some genetics studies have shown that the inhabitants of Britain in the period when Stone Age was completed, around 2005 BC, were pale-skinned early farmers whose ancestors had spread from Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. I already have a dedicated video, by the way, to Stone Age and that nonsense. But I do want you to look at this for a moment. Think about this. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Apart from the fact that it makes my day when virtual signaling cowards, to use the word of one of my haters that called me a coward, as you know. Yeah, these are cowards, the ones that, or they are political activists when they push everyone was black because we need to do it because of inclusivity. And no, it pisses people off. It makes people more racist. It doesn't make people inclusive when you do that, when you change the facts, when you push everything, while at the same time you're trying to delete white everything, culture, history, whatever you like, everything. No, it pisses people off. But here is the question I'm going to ask. We are told that somehow white South Africans don't belong in South Africa, even though they've been there for 400 years. Apparently they're still colonizers, invaders, not real, not original from the... Okay. We are told that white Americans are invaders from Europe in America even after 5 centuries. You're still told, well, originally you are immigrants, you're illegal immigrants, in fact, and colonizers and all that. Great. Yet, somehow, the same people that say this, they tell us that for whatever reason, even if this woman was African, the split second she put her feet on southern English shores, Black Britain. Automatic. Black Britain. Not only that, but the same thing applies to third world illegal migrants who arrived here, whether here be Europe, the UK, America, last Tuesday, and somehow we have to say now that they are as American or as English or as Irish or as Italian as the rest of the population. Make it make sense. So no, I strongly disagree with that take. And I'm glad that the truth has prevailed once again, and we're not going to stop. That is a massive double standard. Absolutely. And that was the second topic for today. Let's move to the next. How about we'll look at this situation that happened, let me open it very quickly, in the Australia, let me see, Bondi Beach. Bondi Beach. Let's see what happened. Good, yeah, you're saying, you say it's a good thing if the mistake was corrected. Absolutely, because that's how it should be. It should just be based on data. So that's what the data says. That's what the data says. Likewise, if the data said, no, she was actually from Africa, I would be like, yeah, she was from Africa. She was black. Still doesn't make her a Briton, but she was from Africa. Fine. But no, well, in this case, I'm glad that it happened. Yes, appreciate that. So let me see a couple of your things, and then we jump into the situation that happened in Australia. She was Nord City Guard. Yeah, exactly. She was a Nord City Guard. She got an arrow to the knee. An arrow to the knee? Yeah. Bondi, you're right. I keep saying Bondi, and it's Bondi. Bondi, then. I'm reading it the Italian way. What do you want from me? You know, it's not easy to redirect your entire life matrix in your head when you see a word spelled the Italian way. That's what it is. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Angolan Saxons. Oh, that's funny. Angolan Saxons. Oh, that's great. Man, that made my day. Let me double check. I don't want to offend anyone with the super chats. Have you checked out the new Pharaoh of Egypt documentary? No, frater. I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Let's have a look at this, shall we? Let's have a look at this, shall we? Massive news. Bondi Beach shooting suspect charged with 15 counts of murder after terror attack at Hanukkah event. If I mispronounce this, I apologize profusely. Let's have a look. That's the face of the monster. 15 people died and 41 others, including 4 children, that's awful, were hospitalized after the shooting in Sydney, Australia on Sunday, December 14th. So before we continue reading this, I want to say if any of you is watching from Australia and you have family members or you were attending this or you know friends of yours that had to deal with this highly traumatic situation, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, and I hope that you and your family are safe. And my heart goes to you. Let's continue. Need to know. Naveed Akram, 24, has been charged with 15 counts of murder in connection with the shooting at the Hanukkah celebration in Bondi Beach near Sydney, Australia, which occurred on the evening of Sunday, December 14th. 15 people died in the shooting and 14 others, including 4 children, were hospitalized. Surviving suspect, Naveed, was taken to the hospital in critical conditions, while the second suspect, gunman, his father... Really? It was father and son? It was father and son. So clearly the father was some kind of radical nut job extremists. We'll talk about that. I talk about everything here. And he indoctrinated his son. Yeah, I mean, already. Definitely. While the second suspected gunman, his father, Sajid Akram, 50, was shot by police and died at the scene, per the BBC. See, that is one of the cases where I say good, because active shooters need to be neutralized by local authorities or by, at this point, good citizens that happen to be there and defend themselves. That's also acceptable, of course, usage of violence. But in general, yeah, that's one of those situations where I don't care. Good, because it's one of those cases where if these people are not neutralized, then they will continue, and the toll will be higher of the innocence that they will claim. And that's one of those situations when you're like, good, I'm glad that law enforcement did their job good, well, and they were effective. So that's fantastic. Sai, you know what to do, Roman. Bondi for the win. Yeah, I know. That's okay. We can do Bondi. I can pronounce it that way. It's not a problem. Authorities in Australia have charged a 24-year-old man in connection with the shooting at the Hanukkah celebration, which, of course, for those who don't know, it's a Jewish celebratory event. So a lot of these were Jewish, and clearly this was a case of anti-Jewish sentiment. and extreme Islamic terrorism. That's what it is. Anyone who tries to tell you otherwise, they're liars. That's what this is. In Bondi Beach, over the weekend, it killed 15 people and injured multiple others. Naveed Akram was named as one of the suspects in the initial stages of the investigation, according to local media cited by the BBC. A New South Wales police force spokesperson confirmed in an email to People that Akram was the one charged. The second suspect gunman, Naveed's father, Sajim Akram, 50, was shot by police and died at the scene, the BBC reported. On Wednesday, December 17, the NSW police force confirmed that the NSW, so New South Wales Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, has formally charged a 24-year-old man, alleged to be one of the two gunmen responsible for the Bondi Beach mass shooting that claimed the lives of 15 people, per a news release. So what are they going to do, by the way, in Australia? I don't think they have... I don't think they can execute him. I don't think they have capital punishment. So I wonder, is this going to be like life without possibility of parole? What do you guys think? Should they bring back? Should they do an exception and do a capital punishment situation? Who knows? I actually don't know how Australian. Yeah, it's gonna be a life sentence. You think? Yeah, probably. Yeah. We have a super chat. Thank you, Devisa. I find it funny that everyone in history did massacres and stole people's lands, true, and yet these leftist lunatics would attack white people for doing it, but don't say anything when Arabic people do it. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Arabic slave trade? Constantly, completely ignored, not to mention in-tribal African slave trade as well. It's true, yeah, it does happen, and I hope, and I do know that the left-wing fans of mine, because I've talked to them, I mean, Baron is one of these, appreciate him, they do realize that historical accuracy is what it is, and they know that this is nonsense when they do this. Yeah, I don't know why there is this fixation against white people. Well, I do know why, but I'm saying it's insane. Everyone has done it. Everyone has done it. It's like when they talk about American Indians and but the land has been stolen. No, it was conquered. Just like American Indian tribes conquered the land before from other American Indian tribes. It's just how it happens. Land is always conquered. It's not a matter of when it's Native Americans or when it's native anything that isn't white, then that's their land. What? They've been inhabiting the same spot since the Paleolithic? Is that what you believe? No, obviously not. It's always stolen land, if you want to call it that way. I prefer to name it conquered land. But for some reasons, when it's white people, it's automatically, yeah, we know why. We know why. Let's go. 41 people, including 4 children, were taken to the hospital following the shooting, which occurred at around 6:40 p.m. local time on Sunday, December 14th. New South Wales police confirmed in Wednesday release that a 24-year-old, okay, we got that. Oh, look at this, wait. Yeah, he has been charged with 59 offenses, including committing a terrorist act. It is absolutely a terrorist act. I've seen people complain about it. I've seen people saying, but why do they call it terrorism? It is terrorism. What are you on about? It is terrorism. That's the definition of terrorism. How people can think it's okay. So that's what you focus on, not the victims. You're focusing on, but why are they saying terrorism? I swear I saw it on X. 15 counts of murder and 40 counts of causing wounds, grievous bodily harm to a person with intent of murder. Yeah. Police have confirmed that 2 officers suffered gunshot wounds in the attack. So even officers were hit, obviously, yeah, because of the returning fire. Yeah. Multiple officers exchanged fire with the gunman, and 2 officers, a constable and probationary constable, suffered gunshot wounds, police said in Wednesday release. And I think they are heroes. These officers are heroes. During the incident, one gunman, 50-year-old man, was shot by police and died at the scene. Okay, we know that. The release stated that there are currently 20 patients continuing to receive care across several Sydney hospitals, adding those who died are in the process of being formally identified. However, police believe their age range between 10 and 87. 10. Of the 2 injured officers, okay, a constable is in critical but stable condition. Pray for him or her, I don't know. While the probationary constable is in a stable condition. Okay, that's good then. I hope they survive, I really do. Also because the toll of victims tends to increase over the next few days because there are people who still haven't died, but they might succumb to their injuries, of course. Australian authorities have said that the shooting was an act of anti-Semitism, while Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, I refuse to not pronounce it the Italian way, said that the attack was, open quote, an act of pure evil and an act of terror and an act of anti-Semitism. All of that is true per CNN, but it's interesting that they are removing that it's clearly an attack of radical extremist Islam. I wonder why they're not saying that. But you know what they are saying? Obviously, the next aspect we're going to talk about this is the civilian that disarmed one of these. Have you seen the clip going around, by the way? Yeah? So we're going to look into that because that, of course, became... Let me see if they... Strange, they don't talk about it on this. That's very strange. Well, let me see if I can find it on another article then, because I do want to cover that. So, let's see. Civilian who disarmed the Bondi Beach shooter. Yeah, they call him the Bondi Beach hero, which, by the way, he is a hero for what he did. But people made it immediately political. So, let's have a look at this. All right. Bondi Beach hero helped disarm terrorists before police mistakenly shot him. Oh, the police shot him? I did not know that. Yeah, he's a hero, I agree. It's the police that shot the guy? Oh, no. Okay, actually, this is a good opportunity to discuss then what to do, because to be honest, I will add a little sort of unplanned section on what to do if you are in a situation, particularly if you're in America, but I would say in general, where you need to exercise self-defense, because there is I would call it a prassi, I don't know how you say that, but a modus operandi, or operandi. If you are in a situation of self-defense, let's say that you are in, I'll say it now, let's say you are in a situation where you're armed, it's your, for instance, constitutional right here in the United States, and then someone tries to attempt of your life, and they try to shoot you, or they start shooting, and then you respond, you return fire, you protect yourself, you protect your family, as you're entitled to do. After the harm or the threat is neutralized, this is critical. After the threat is neutralized, what you need to do is put your weapon away, call 911 or whatever it is, 113 in Italy or in Australia. You need to be the one calling, not a passerby, not maybe a friend of the assailant. You call because you are the victim. So you call 911 and you tell them that you had to defend yourself. Don't go into the details though, because you're still probably under adrenaline and you don't want to do that. You just say, I'm a victim, I was attacked, I feared for my life, I had to defend myself. That's it. Don't say the number of times you shot. Don't say anything. You don't even say you had to shoot someone. Don't say it. And then make sure that by the time the authorities arrive, you do not have a firearm in your hands. They need to know that you are the victim. Because otherwise, offers are responding into a highly stressed situation, and you don't want to be mistakenly misunderstood as one of the victims. And in fact, then, you do want to cooperate with law enforcement, but when it comes to the details of what happened while you are in flight or fight, no, at that point, wait for your lawyer. That's what I'm going to say about this. You have a good heart, Metatron. I appreciate that. Thank you. So that's an important thing. You like Bondi. I know. I'll say sometimes Bondi, sometimes Bondi. We'll do that. It's fine. Okay. All right. Let's go. And someone has a different opinion, it seems like, in chat. Let me see. So someone in chat is saying that what happened in Bondi Beach has nothing to do with Israel. It's a false flag. I haven't got a clue. But I mean, obviously, they hated Jews. That's obvious. I mean, why would they go to the most Jewish event? I don't think you need a detective for that. We could put allegedly if you want and wait for the authorities. But I mean, I am going to say pretty obviously they wanted to take out the Jews. And then Williamson blamed Muslims to condone the Palestinian genocide in Israel. I don't know what you're trying to say here, but these guys were Muslims, and you can't change that. It's a fact. So yes, they were insane, Islamists. That's what they were. And saying anything else is a lie. We're not going to cover for them. I'm not going to cover for them. But let's talk about the hero now. Let's talk about the hero. A man who rushed in to help disarm one of the terrorists who fired at a crowd celebrating Hanukkah in Australia's famous Bondi Beach was mistakenly shot by police and tackled by bystanders, according to a new report. The heroic civilian, who was only described as a Middle Eastern refugee living with his Australian wife and kids, well, then he's not a refugee. He's a legal immigrant if he's living with his wife, whatever. Was in Bondi Beach when Naveed Akram and these people, okay, allegedly opened fire at a crowd of Jewish, okay. At least 15 people we know. All right, so let's have a look at the video. Can we even see the video, or can we not show it? I'll try, guys. If the stream gets blocked, you know that it takes usually 2 minutes. I stop watching the video, and then let's see if we can see it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll have to do, I'll do stills. So this is the shooter. Right? This is him tackling. So he's here. He runs towards the shooter. He starts tackling, takes the weapon from the shooter. Impressive. Successfully. And then the shooter goes away. I don't think he fires the shooter, which, I mean, personally, I think he should have, but whatever. I don't know how Australian law works. But yeah, so he was incredible. What he did, look, he's hiding here. The shooter hasn't seen him. He's hiding behind the cars. And then I just want to see if I can show just this. Look at this. Look at that. Impressive. So yeah, he could have died. A true hero. Now, if you are in a situation like that, I don't know if I can encourage you. I mean, if you have a weapon, but if you don't have a weapon, what he did is amazing. And I call him a hero for what he has done. He definitely prevented more damage. But I mean, if you have a family and you don't have any weapon, I wouldn't try that. But I do say that he was amazing. Anyways, so what happened online is that people on the left immediately, and I'll say what people on the right did too, but people on the left immediately started saying, see, he's a Muslim hero. Now the racists are going to have a problem with that. And then people on the right started saying, no, he's a Christian. He's a Christian from Libya. Do you think anyone cared about the truth at that point? Do you think anyone cared about the truth? Personally, it muddied the waters. Because now, which one is it? Is he a Christian Libyan? Or is he a Muslim who basically went against his own? Because now everyone is pushing stuff. It would be like me choosing one of the two, not double checking, not taking time to look or wait for the final statement from the authorities, which is what I'm gonna do, and just run with the one that I like the most because it helps whatever point that I'm trying to make. I think that's disingenuous. Now, if this guy was a Christian and people tried to push him as a Muslim, then yeah, they're clowns for doing that. But if this guy was actually Muslim, which is a possibility, then great. Obviously, I don't have a problem with the likes of him. And likewise, as I always say, I don't have a problem if a small little family of peaceful Muslims come and live nearby, but they don't hate white people, they don't hate the West, they just have their own religion. Fine, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. I'm not going to have a problem with them. If they're respectful, they don't hate Christians, they don't hate the West, not a problem. But people, I'm going to show you, because I always say I never condemn the innocents, but people like this scum, anyone who tries to cover this or try to say, well, no, okay, you're satanic at that point. This is disgusting. And that's why I will always push for illegal immigration. Because when it's illegal immigration, first, let's not pretend that all migrants are the same. The likelihood is not 100%, but I'm just going to say it. If you have immigrants to America or to England or to whatever the heck, and they come from France or Italy, the likelihood of them being some kind of crazy terrorist who's going to do this is clearly lower significantly lower than if you have people who are migrating from the third world or people who are migrating specifically from an Islamic country. And that's just a statement of fact. And if you deny that, you denied fact because you think that the truth is racist. Not to mention, Islam is not a race, so this is not even about being racist or not. Because I can assure you that if this guy, regardless of his genetic makeup and immutable characteristics and phenotypic traits, if he was brought up, adopted into an American family in a freaking, imagine, red state, and he grew up as a practicing Christian, I don't think he would have done this. So, having said that, yes, the likelihood is going to be higher because there is the opposing of Christian values, Western values. Now, does that mean that every single immigrant who is a Muslim is going to be this? No. But because of the fact that there is a question mark on top of the head of these people who are migrating towards our countries, then we need to go through the proper channel, and we cannot let this insane free flow of people that some people on the progressive left for some reasons are pushing now, where they say, no, illegal immigrants, let them in, let everyone in. Then how do I distinguish between the good guy? Again, if this hero, if he is a Muslim, yeah, clearly I'm not going to have a problem with him. He's clearly a hero. But how do I know that it's someone like him, if it's an illegal immigrant, or if it's someone like this? And are you willing, is your idle empathy so high that you're willing to risk your children for this? Because I'm not. I'm not. And that's why we need only legal immigration. And legal immigration, sometimes people get mad at me on the conservative side when they say, oh, but even legal immigration, it doesn't mean we need to let 10 million. Yeah, obviously, to legally enter a country, you need a visa, like me. So not everyone can enter through the legal channel. You need to have a reason to live in another country, which, by the way, is the case in every country under the sun on the other planetary level. So I also wonder why, when it comes to other countries, it's fine to have borders. But when it comes to the West, for some reasons, we need to be like, no, it's nice. And then you get this. And I resent this. And this is what I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I think it's I know for a fact that people on Reddit are going to misconstrue what I said now and say, see, Metatron hates everyone. Fine, who cares? Twist my words all you want. I think my takes were not extreme in any way. And I think I was just being logical when it comes to this. And fair, in fact. But it's not like Redditors are going to be able to see that, do they? Yeah. Oh, interesting. So Anonymous told us something about, I guess, Australian law. You're telling us if the disarmer shot the GUN, the firearm, he would have been charged. Yeah, I mean, at that point, I prefer American law and stand the ground, castle doctrine, and all of that stuff. Because honestly, but I could imagine that, like, I don't know, I haven't double checked this, but I can imagine Australian law being like that. Yeah. Absolutely. Crazy stuff, isn't it? Cool stuff. All right, next. I told you today was a spicy stream. It's not clickbait, guys. It's not clickbait. It's not clickbait. All right, so I'm going to start with some reacts now because we got a lot of videos that I want to react to. I did want to speak about Brown University, the MIT professor, but maybe we'll do it on a different session because I also want to play tonight. So in the meantime, I wouldn't want to take a moment to thank you all for being here, by the way, because I understand that sometimes the topic I choose are a little heavy, which is why we're going to skip around. Now we're going to do something a little lighter, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, so let me have a look. What have we got here? I'm going to open a few tabs, closing these. Am I in full screen? Yes, I am. Splendid. All right, so we can close this tab. We can close this tab. We can close this other tab. We can close this other tab. Isn't that amazing? All the tabs I'm closing. Isn't that incredible? All right, so yeah, maybe not this one. I want to do this one tomorrow. Let's do this one instead. Let me see what we've got. Yeah, it's a good one. 1 hour and 17. No, I'm just going to watch a little bit. But I know you're like, why don't you show it? I will in a second. We've got a little Asmongold clip as well, because it's always fun to react to the king. It's funny that the anti-king, the no king crowd complained about, they were all about Trump is not a king, and they were right. Trump is not a king, but you know who is? Asmongold, and they still got a king now. There is a king in America, Roach King. So their protests failed. It is what it is. All right, let me have a look. There is this video about Japanese that I also wanted to watch. It's gonna be great. I don't want to open too many. There he is, my man. All right, let's. I need to watch this. This is gonna be great. All right, let me get back to. Let me get back to the top right. Let me see what you guys are saying very quickly, and then we jump into this. Okay, so the chat is fine. What a day. Last Europa Kiss says, as someone from the UK, I don't see a problem with kings. Well, to be fair, it's a representative monarchy, so there is that. Cool stuff. All right, guys, I need my daily dose of the Roach King. So he said, it's only a 4 minutes video. We can watch it quick. Racist take a DNA test. You know, because it's Asmongold, I know for a fact there's going to be people who hate white. I just know it, and I got to watch it. So let's go. All right, Asmongold, what have you found? Oh, thank you so much, Jack Ray, for 20. Goodness gracious, man. 20 Metatron gift memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let me, in fact, double check. Man, a lot of people are getting the memberships now. Really appreciate that. Also, thank you everyone on Rumble and Twitch. You need a scan doubler for that monitor, bro. Oh, but for this, it's not a monitor, guys. Guys, this is not a monitor. Can you guess what it is? I'll give you 2 minutes while I look for the super chats. Okay, let's check the. You saw it, right? Not a monitor. Muppets. Skibidi says Bandai Namco, Bondi Beach, Wonder Prompts War. Goodness gracious. Islam the Lenda Est, woke communism the Lenda Est. You know what's funny about woke and communism in the same sentence? That communisms or communists like Stalin would have exterminated the likes of the woke. Can we be honest about this? 100%. You put 5,000 woke people in the USSR under Stalin, they would have all ended up in the gulag. There is no question about it. If you've ever studied any history, you know that what I'm saying is true. You know it. You say it's a display? No, it's not a display. I think I got all of the super chats. Yes. Cool. A scan doubler. Sorry, I even misread it. No, it's not a display. A CRT can still be a monitor. True, yeah, you're right. But this is not a CRT monitor. I wonder if anyone is gonna die. If you don't guess it in the next 2 minutes, so I can take a little break. If you don't guess it in the next 2 minutes, I'll tell you. It's a safe turn into a monitor. No, it's not. Not a monitor. And like I mean it. When I say it's not a monitor, I'm not being a fridge. No, I'm not being like pedantic. The inside of this electronically and the inside of a monitor, completely different. Completely different. Visual display unit, no. A cake, no. I'll give you 30 seconds and then I'll tell you. I don't know if anyone is going to guess it. I'll give you a hint. It's a PC. No, it's not a PC. Good call. But no, it's not a PC. I call it a screen. Great, but it's not. Not being pedantic. Who are you really? No, yeah, you're right. I am being pedantic. But I'm right. It isn't a display. It isn't a monitor. It isn't a TV. A gaming cabinet. No. Console. No. Man, this is actually fun. A cathode ray tube. Nice one, but no. I mean, technically, yes, it does have the cathode ray tube in it. But it's not. It's not TV. It's an imposter. No. Well, I'll give you a hint. Think about Fallout. If you've ever played, you got it. You got it. So Michimoro guessed it. It is a terminal. And immediately after, Meganeura. Yes, it's a terminal. Specifically, what is referred to as a dumb terminal. So this is a terminal. A terminal is not a display, not a monitor. Well, it's kind of a display, but not really. It's not a monitor. So the inside of this machine looks completely different to that of a monitor, because a monitor is just designed to receive a video signal and display it. This, however, it's a dumb terminal, which means it cannot do that. What it does is that it will receive a signal from like a computer that you use as a host, and then whatever you type, as long as this is connected to the computer, it will show it, and then it will have its own memory and internals. Okay, but if you disconnect it from the computer, it's actually fascinating. If you disconnect a monitor from a computer, it shows nothing. But if you disconnect this from a computer, it will still show an image, but then you won't be able to type anymore. It's fascinating. It's a different type of technology. Usually you would have like 8 of these in a library, all connected to one computer, for instance. So yeah, it's a terminal. Thank you. All right. Let's have a look at this then. With this DNA test, am I going to facepalm like a maniac? Let's see. Let's go.
American education at its finest. Latinos take a DNA test. What's this?
Today we're going to be taking a DNA test.
Finally, to find out if I'm 100% Puerto Rican.
I really hope that I get full 100% Mexican, 100% Mexican. If I don't get 100% Mexican, I'm going to be sad.
Is that how it
I'm
works?
from the DR and Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So like, there's some black in there, but my mom's last name is very white, so something weird probably happened there.
Okay, so it's been about 4 or 5 weeks. We finally got the results. I'm super scared, nervous.
So far, so good. I don't see any racism.
Okay.
I'm excited. I don't know.
I'm anxious. I don't know what I am. I'm having an identity crisis.
Uh-oh.
I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Why do you think she's nervous? If I'm gonna have to guess it, considering the title, someone is gonna be like, I don't want to be white in any way, shape, or form. But let's see.
I'm worried I'm white.
Crisis.
Uh-oh.
I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. I'm worried I'm white.
Do I even have to say it, guys? Do I even have to say it? I'm gonna say it, but it's the obvious now. It's the obvious. Swap it, put a white person here, and imagine that they said the same thing in reverse. Do you think that the channel would have put the little cute pretty music with it? What an awful time which we live in.
Oh, there you go. We're in.
Okay, what do we do?
I know,
Oh my
Asmongold.
gosh, I'm 71.9% European.
Oh God, she's really?
Why is this like the most
Broadly so.
white DNA test?
Why is white treated as a... But what's wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? What if these literally, when they say there is no such a thing as anti-white propaganda, no? Then how do you do this? How do you do this? It's because they do it. Their parents probably do it. But even if their parents didn't, then it's school. If it's not school, it's the game. If it's not games, it's the university. If it's not university, it's the media. If it's not the media, it's This is the result of... I'm just going to say it. This is the result of the same type of political indoctrination that happened in 1930s and 1940s Germany under the Austrian painter Fun Club. I just said it.
Very white DNA test.
Oh, I already saw a
Well,
number.
I mean, like, am I gonna be the one that has to say it? This guy is he's kind of a white guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why, because, like, if you look at him, I mean, he does, like, if you had to guess.
Oh, I already saw a number I don't like.
Which one?
Uh-oh.
44% European.
Okay.
Yep.
I can see it. I was expecting more.
46.9.
Could I have guessed that this guy is half European? Fucking no shit.
Yeah, obviously. Is his eyes cut? You can tell he's half. You can tell. But still, obviously the other half is not Congo. Am I right? I keep saying Congo because that's the first thing that comes to mind, but I mean, whatever. Nigeria.
9%.
Let me
This
see.
guy is half European.
Right.
Fucking no shit.
9% East Asian Indigenous American.
Okay.
Okay. I got those native roots, you know, very in touch. 1% Jewish. What's up? Where's Mexico?
Oh my god, I'm not white. Like at all.
She's not white? Wow. I would have never expected that. That's crazy.
Well, to be fair, even if she had like a great grandfather who was white, I don't think you would have been able to see it. But then again, I get it. I get it.
Man.
Oh thank god. I'm mostly
Did she say thank God?
Did that. That's crazy. Man.
Oh thank god.
And it's celebrated. Racist. So this is why I am so tired. The same side that constantly calls everyone who isn't racist doesn't call her racist even though she is. Clearly. And it's monetized. Same thing happened in reverse. I'm gonna say it, guys. Not only we know that if someone made a video like this with the music, beep, 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 and you have like a white European, no, worse, a Nordic guy, blonde, blue eyes, whatever the heck, a woman, and she's like, oh, thank God. Oh, I thought I could have been black. If that happened, the video would have been demonetized. There would have been a red thing. Possibly the channel would have been terminated for it, right? And then for this instead, we're getting cute music, fully monetized. Not a problem. Everyone, yeah. And I imagine the self-loathing ones, the self-loathing whites will be like, oh, yeah, I'm so glad you're not white. Yeah, all of that. And then people have the goal to say, ooh, I wonder how when someone uses the freaking N-word at Cinnabon, then they are rewarded with money. It must be insane how so many racists spawned for no reason. And then you wonder why. Racism spawns more racism. Am I right? Am I right, guys? Am I telling it how it is? It doesn't matter if it's an old video. It's what we are experiencing right now. So it's perfectly relevant. I know I'm telling it for what it is. Let's go.
I'm mostly Central and South Asian.
Yeah.
Southern Asian, 45%. We knew that.
Right.
Okay.
Southern Indian and Sri Lankan, 45.5%.
Shocker. Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
The other 30.
She's trying to be fun, you know. She's trying to be like, oh, I'm such a fun person to be around. I'm racist against white people, but apart from that, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean?
6% is Sub-Saharan Africa.
Hey.
Are we surprised? No. Oh no. European.
Oh my gosh.
10%. That is an amount I can allow. So my mom is from the Dominican Republic. That didn't show up here at all.
I love how people get really upset about finding out that their ethnicity isn't 100% what they thought it was. You know, it's like, oh, my parents told me that, like, this is what happened.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
I told you Asmongold rules. So, I mean, yeah, it's the grandma crowd. Nose ring detected. It's the grandma crowd. Look at her. Look at Cleopatra. Look at Cleopatra, guys. The entire family, by the way. People keep forgetting. Asmongold, if you ever watch this, you don't have to react to it. I understand you're busy. If you're also reacting to me, reacting to you might be a little metaverse. But if you watch this, I am an expert when it comes to the dismantling of Netflix Cleopatra clown show of a documentary. So if you ever want to talk, no need to mention or anything. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But if you ever want to something, hey, Metatron, can you tell me a thing or two about... Oh, yeah, absolutely. Please. My pleasure. The nose ring theory proven to be right. Well, we know that it's not a theory anymore. It's a scientific fact. It's a scientific. By the way, I know that I have European ancestry because my great-grandparents are from Spain. Cool. It's the Udim son. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing people just forgot that the European empires colonized like 90% of the world. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about that percentage, but sure, of course. Yeah, we were Again, when I say we, it's also funny because that will take us to another debacle, which is the idea of me. And not because I'm trying to be like self-centered, I'm making it about me. No, but because obviously on YouTube, you meaning me, it's my perspective that I share with the world, right? And so it's kind of funny because when it comes to me, my ethnicity changes by the comment. Because some people, usually the Afrocentric community, absolutely consider me white 100%, because in the comments they tell me, look at this white man, colonizer, telling us about Egypt and our history. How dare you? White supremacy. So they absolutely consider me white. Then, on the other side, I've got people who are instead telling me, well, you're not even white, you're Italian. How a nationality becomes an ethnicity, it's a little bit of a strange scenario for me, but I guess that's also a thing. And then the other type of comment that sometimes I encounter is the one that tells me that it's on the extreme, ultra extreme nationalistic side, where people tell me, "Oh, you're from Sicily, so you're black. You're not white. Get away from our country." I do get those as well. Now, isn't that amazing that I go from being white to being Italian to being black in the space of a single comment section? Look at me. I'm a metamorphosis entity. I have the ability to change ethnicity depending on who I'm talking to. I think that's fascinating. Now, what do I, just to use a word that has been utilized by a lot of people these days, what do I identify as? I identify as white, as every European of light complexion identifies as. Spanish people identify as white, I identify as white, Greek people identify as white, Germans are white, Irish these days are white, Americans are white, meaning Americans of European ancestry, and English are white. Now, given, yes, Benjamin Franklin didn't think that Italians were white, he didn't think that Irish were white, even though they're as white as this. So clearly, what this shows is that the concept of whiteness and who is white and who is not depends on both personal, regional, and cultural perspective, as well as time period. With that being said, I want to counter one of the nonsense things that people say usually when they are on the other side of my political positions, when they say that white was invented as a concept by the likes of Benjamin Franklin, and before that, no one, in fact, sometimes it has to do even with whether or not you're a Protestant or a Catholic, but we'll not go into that. But people do say, oh, but no one identified as white before, and that's false, because you know what the Romans identified as? White. They use 3 different words in Latin. This is going to upset quite a few people. It's the truth, I want to tell you. There are 3 words that can be translated as white that the Romans used to identify themselves. Does that mean that they had the same perspective as, say, again, someone from 1870s or early 20th century America when they used the word white? Obviously not. As I say, it is something that changes. With that being said, yes, they do use the word white, and they distinguished themselves, so the people of the Mediterranean, they distinguished themselves from black people because they called black people Ethiopians, meaning burnt face from the sort of etymological origin of the Greek word. And when they say that, when they say Ethiopian, they don't mean people from Ethiopia, they mean anyone who is black and from Africa. And then they distinguished themselves, the Mediterraneans, from the Nordic phenotype, whether it be Germans, Germanic tribes, or whether it be Celts, because they call those the blonde. And then, so that's what they do. They say the world is divided into white, us, blonde, Nordic phenotype, and the Ethiopians, who would be black. And that's what they say. What's interesting is then when you read Julius Caesar or Julius Caesar and Pomponius Mela, then you notice that the Romans further subdivided the blondic type, and they told us that Celtic populations of Roman Britain, particularly that of the Caledoni, so original tribes of Scotland, for instance, they would call them red. So they would say those people phenotypically, it's a stereotype, of course, but it's based on a general amount of the population. They said, oh, those are redhead. So those are redhead in the island. Instead, continental Celts and the Germanic tribes, they're blonde. That's what we're told in the sources. So yeah, anyways, it's a little, what do you say? little out of topic, if you will. But please, all of this to say she was Greek, she was not black. I don't even care. I will state that until the end of my days.
How would she even know that? But like, did it really happen that way? And it's just that people that make like their race and like their ancestry part of their identity. I think it's
Right.
just it's a very bad mindset to have. It's a silly mindset to have.
Where did they come from?
Oh my gosh.
I am 88.7% European.
Yeah, she looks like a Southern European, like Spanish, Portuguese, possibly Italy, but I'm going to say more like Iberian to me. I'm going to say, I'm not even reading the stuff on the right. I'm just saying by the looks of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spanish and Portuguese.
See?
I'm 85.4%.
I can see it, guys. I can see it. Like Germans, Nordic have a... It's the face, apart from the colors, because these colors are common in Italy as well. But the face, to me, looks Portuguese/Spanish. I promise. That's what I'm saying.
So no Italian.
No Italian.
Interesting.
I'm gonna
Sorry.
call my mom about this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Comments are gonna be like, she's not even. She's
Are
not
you even
Am I
Latina at this? I'm kidding.
Uh-huh.
Okay, view report.
We don't want to kick you out from the team.
40%, 40.9% East
What team?
Asian and indigenous. I wanted 70 or 80.
You're 4% less colonized than I am.
Less colonized. You absolute clown. You with this clown shirt. You're a clown. What on earth does that mean? Goodness gracious. Oh, this makes my blood boil.
Congratulations.
From Spanish and Portuguese, 27%.
Welcome to the team.
What surprised you the most?
The 44% European.
Sorry, mate.
Like, no offense.
Oh, like, am I the only guy? This guy abso-fucking-lutely looks like he could be from Europe. Bro, what
Half. I can tell there is a half indigenous in there.
the fuck did his parents tell him? What the fuck?
No, it's the professors, Asmon. This guy's been indoctrinated. I don't think either he has like crazy parents, but I think all things considering, my money is on the professors.
Look, like, he's like the most European guy in the entire video. He's like, what do you mean?
No offense to the Europeans, to my vanilla friends.
No offense to Europeans. Yes, offense taken. More with the black lady. She was worse than you, but you too. It's not like you're keeping it. Goodness gracious. No offense. Oh, thank you for raiding the stream. 1 second, I'll read the super chat in a second, but we've got on the Rumble side, we got a raid from Dara Mouth. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. So everyone, welcome. Welcome, and it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for raiding. And guys, another amazing, man, what a day. We've got the man. Legal Mindset himself. Yo, chat, Merry Christmas time, and hope you're all well. That's so cool to see you in chat, by the way, Legal Mindset. I don't know your first name, but I do watch you, and I've reacted to a few of your videos. In fact, I'm going to react to more of your videos in the next few days, but it's so cool to have you in chat, Legal Mindset. I love your work, man. So cool. I feel like I've got like an actor. You know when you meet like a famous actor? That's that's how I feel now that I've got Legal Mindset in my chat. But once again, thank you so much for raiding on Rumble. I really appreciate that. Also, I consider country important for your cultural background. Absolutely. I'm American as heck. My name is Andrew. There you go. Nice to meet you then directly, Andrew. And thank you again for all the work you do. And it's fantastic. I love your channel. Anyone who doesn't know Legal Mindset, I think you do. Very successful. But if you don't, you have to click, like literally click here and go to channel. You got to do it because this guy's great. Good to have you here, Andrew. And I don't know how to remove this now. Professional YouTuber, there you go. Yeah, so that's cool. I've got a great one on AI coming out. A friend got DeepSeek to talk about Tiananmen, and Winnie the Pooh meaning the leader of. Oh, that's really cool. That's in Beijing, of course. I'll look forward to checking that one out. We are considering making a collaboration video with a few YouTubers and talk about the dangers of AI, both in the historical space, and it would be cool to watch your video about it. 100%. Very cool. Very cool. Look forward for future video reviews. Absolutely, my man. Thank you very much. I look forward to your videos. Yeah. I'll shoot you a message over on X, and we should talk. Yeah, we need to do something about AI. The number of videos, slop AI videos in the history space that are going around these days is really disconcerting, and it's nonsense, and they get millions of views. People eat that stuff up. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, that happened, and very cool. What are we doing on Twitch right now? Oh yeah, there we go. You messaged me on X. Appreciate that. Pinning you. Yeah, we should collab together. That would be my honor, my friend. Absolutely. You do such a good job. I would be more than happy to do that. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see what else is criminal. Let's see what else is criminal is gonna say. Come on, let's go. Let's do it.
Out there, love all of you.
Oh my God. It's crazy. People make this very much, their identity, right? Their parents brought them up. This is, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the Cleopatra. Remember that? You don't need to listen to fucking...
Do I remember that, guys? NPC mind, you're absolutely right. But do I remember grandma?
History books, because my grandma said Cleopatra was black. Oh my fucking God.
Yeah. I like to censor him when he says that. I don't appreciate. But anyways, thank you so much, Asmongold. I appreciate this. This was hilarious to watch. That was absolutely hilarious to watch. And but at the same time, this was really the fact that younger people are now so conditioned to self-loathe. And then all of this is rewarded monetarily. It can be like all of this blatant anti-white racism. Not only is rewarded, but then we are told it doesn't exist. Of course, people are going nuts. Obviously. Unbelievable. But that's what it is, my friends. I don't care what when anyone tells you Metatron is black. Yeah, I know. I mean, as I say, it is one of those things. I wonder. Yeah, there we go. If I do one of those DNA tests, if I do it, I think it's going to be probably 60 to 65% Protoss. Then I imagine a good 23% Terran. Maybe there is a little bit of Zerg in there, but if there is, I'm gonna flip the table. I'm gonna be like, oh, thank God I'm not a Zerg, because that's how these people do. It's gonna be. I know it's gonna be Protoss. You know it. The only reason why I know I'm not 100% Protoss is because I have a mouth. But that's it. I don't want to hear it. The mouth is because it's Terran. I get it. I don't want to hear it though. Okay. It would be funny if this is a good one actually right here. Right here, it brought a very good thing. Would be funny if you had some Carthaginian in you. It could very well be, considering the fact that the new DNA analysis tells us, I think you know this because I made a video about it recently, but the new DNA analysis on Carthaginian remains, specifically during the Punic War against Rome, demonstrated that differently to what we thought, even though the Carthaginians originally were Semitic in nature as a civilization, meaning basically like Jews, towards the end, after lots of other intermingling had happened, as during the time that they were actually Carthaginians and not Phoenician anymore, so the original Phoenicians are Semitic, but by the time they become Carthaginian, they were genetically almost indistinguishable to the following: Greeks, Anatolians, meaning Turkish populations of the time, pre-Ottoman, and Sicilians. So yeah, it could well be. Who knows? We'll have to see, because again, my dad is from the north of Italy, so there is that side. But that's how it is. So there probably still was, my guess is that there probably still was maybe a very small core of Semitic ancestry, even during the Carthaginians, but at the time it had become like a small percentage, like a very small percentage of like some of the founding people, still having some kind of long heritage that they could trace all the way down to the Phoenicians, but the majority of the population by then was not Semitic. That is actually crazy, and it's a recent discovery. Up to that point, in fact, my videos were all about, no, they were Semitic. With some percentages, I always said that there would have been some intermingling, but once the new data arrived, that's when I made the new videos to point out that we were in fact wrong. So yeah, it is fascinating, yeah. yeah. Cool, cool. We got an interesting question before we continue. Let me see. Metatron, what do you think of the insult terrone since you're from the south? In the north, we were taught to not say it. Opinion? Yeah, I mean, in Italy, we have these kind of slurs, if you will. So if you want to insult someone from the south, you call them terrone. Usually it's northern people that do it. And then if you want to insult someone from the north and you're southern, you call them polentone. The origin of these words is kind of interesting because terrone is connected to the word terra, because the idea is you're all just a bunch of farmers, and then so basically you're calling them like earthers, if you will, or soilers, whereas polentone is connected to food. The polenta is a typical northern food that it's basically a sort of flour that is made from sweet corn that it's very typically eaten in the north of Italy, but it's almost never eaten in the south. I've seen it occasionally in the center, but generally speaking, it's a northern thing. And so it's kind of, if you're English, it's a bit like when you call someone from Liverpool a scouser because they eat the scouse, which is this kind of stew, if you will. It's similar to that. And yeah, I mean, it is offensive, but I think it also depends how it's used. And that's the way I treat every slur. I don't use them as my personal choice. I treat all slurs equally. So if someone uses a slur against Italian, the one that has to do with Guinea, if you will, or if they use, and the following word attached to it, or if they use slurs against black people, slurs against Asian, slurs against anything, I treat them all equally. I'm not one of those that says the N-word should be this civilization-ending magic word and curse that should be treated specially, but then every other slur, who cares? Or like the one against white people that has to do with the saltine that you eat. Yeah, I don't use any, and I think they are all to be frowned upon. But I don't think any of these is a magical word, and I think they should still remain within protected speech of the Constitution or the First Amendment, because the First Amendment protects ugly speech too. And that is ugly speech. Do I use it? No, because I consider myself to be a polite individual. But I also think we are getting to like an insane scenario where now we've got magical words. And it's ridiculous. With that being said, yeah, I don't use polentone or terrone, but then again, if someone uses it but they're joking, I don't get offended. I don't care. But if someone uses it with the intent to be derogatory towards people in the South, then yeah, I do take offense to that. And likewise, if you call me a son of a bee, then yeah, it depends. You're saying it as a joke. Same with the FA word, the one that is used to describe gay people. If someone uses it as a derogatory word against a gay person, and like a friend of mine, then I'll be like, hey, you stop that. But if someone uses it as a joke with their friends, I don't care. So it's the intent for me that it's really important, not words as if language is something that we operate in a vacuum. We don't. Context exists, and I think context should always be considered when we discuss the reaction that we should have as people, though, not the authorities getting involved, like it's happening in the United Kingdom, where you get arrested if you use a word regardless of the context, which is disgusting to see. And if you're English and you're watching this, I'm sorry that you're living in that situation, and I hope that you, I don't know, with the next election, you change things around. It's all I'm going to say. Like, I feel for you. If you're English and you have to constantly be, oh my gosh, I need to be very careful. This guy tried to, for instance, this guy attacked me, but I have to be careful what word I use because I'm going to go to prison rather than them. It's insane. It's crazy, right? So, yeah, abracadabra. So that's what I'm going to say about those two words. I think it's really the context and the intent that we should really look at when any type of vulgar... I mean, I do call people clowns, don't I? And that's fine. But we're going to get to a place where things are going to be so sanitized that you won't be able to say anything unless it's against white people. That's fine. That's where we are. Always telling the truth, my friends. Metatronico, here is my 20th Eurobucks. Donatello. Thank you for the donation. Very cool. Donatello. Not saltines. Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm aware. 100%. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Next video. Let's go, guys. Let's go to the next video because Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong thing because I'm a professional YouTuber, right? Like that. All right, we got a few. So let me see, because I want to move in size. So I want to react to something smaller and then proceed. Let me have a... What time is it, by the way? Oh, it's fine. We've got still plenty of time, my friends. Let me prepare the tabs. You know, I see sometimes Asmongold, and he has like 50 tabs. 50 damn tabs. How does he stream like that? What kind of connection does this guy have? Goodness gracious. Okay. All right, we're going to check this guy out. I'm going to open one last tab. And let's see if it's going to explode or if my connection can handle it. Let's see. All right, cool. Let's go. How long is this one? 14 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, we're good. All right, we got some good ones. All right, one moment, please. I just want to see if we have the fast fact here for this one. I appreciate your patience, by the way. You're always very, very patient, which I always appreciate. All right, good. Gen Z. Let's talk about Gen Z, guys. So, Metroid. Yeah, we're gonna react to Metroid as well. We're gonna react to Metroid. All right. So this channel is called Cole Hastings, and it was recommended to me by my lead Discord moderator, Baron. And I had a look at the video before a little bit, and I thought this is pretty good. So Cole Hastings tells us
on October 20
that he seeks nuance. I appreciate that. So let's see how he does it here. He's telling us about Gen Z's radicalization shouldn't surprise us. Let's see why. I'm not going to react to the whole video because it's rather long, but I will react a little bit. Let's go.
On the surface, Gen Z looks just like any other generation before them, sort of. But beneath their external appearances are some of the most extreme ideologies the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Take a look at this guy. He goes by the name Clavicular online. Seems like a normal dude, right? But if you watch even 30 seconds of one of his videos, he will start using words that, to maybe 80% of people who speak English, seem completely made up.
So we take a look and we've got a lot of rosacea, just showing you a basic way to improve by 1 to 2 PSL. Because these two things, these two softmaxes can go a long way. You know, with the lack of facial angularity.
Well, I can get facial angularity, but honestly, up to that point, if you told me that he was pulling my leg, I would have believed it. Like, what on earth?
It's causing me to have an overly wide perceived facial width to height ratio.
Clavicular is part of a group of people called Looksmaxers who first spawned on internet forums. Looksmaxers are obsessed with doing anything and everything they can to maximize what they call their PSL and SMV, their personal look scale and sexual market value, respectively.
Sexual market value? You know, I don't have anything against people who are trying to maximize, you know, bodybuilders, old school bodybuilders. I always respected them. Of course, I wish they didn't use all the drugs they used back in the day, but you know what I mean. Someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger is really cool. And, yeah, of course, they obsessed over every inch because that's what they do. Sexual market value. You say it's basically sex appeal. I get it, but when you say it like that, it sounds so superficial. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt the man.
I believe that the only thing that determines basically all areas of success in your life is your looks. And to not obsess over your looks is doing yourself a massive disservice.
Do you value hard work at all?
No, absolutely not. I value efficient work. I value smart work. Hard work is a ridiculous concept.
Okay, after he qualified it, and this guy has a massive deltoid. After he qualified it and says, I don't value hard work, I value smart, efficient work. If you qualify it like that, I'm like, I can see it. I can see it.
In order to optimize his looks maxing, Clavicular has been injecting testosterone since the age of 14, and he plans on flying to Turkey soon for a double jaw surgery. According to online sources...
Why does he need a double jaw surgery? He's like a good-looking guy. He looks like an actor. I mean, then again, if he's an adult, he can do whatever he wants. But then again,
he's only 19 years old. And yet he has adopted what I think most people would consider
Extreme.
a very radicalized
Yeah.
view of the world.
Yeah.
Subgroups of different extremist ideologies like looks-maxing are not uncommon these days. Now we have groypers, a term used to identify followers or fans of white nationalist and live streamer Nick Fuentes.
he doesn't self-identify as a white nationalist, though, so I don't know if we should call him a white nationalist, because he was asked by... We should watch together the interview that he had with, what's his name? Piers Morgan. What did you guys think about that, by the way? But during that interview, I think Piers Morgan asked him, do you consider yourself a white nationalist? Didn't he say no, or did I dream it? I don't know. We'll see.
On the left side, we have Antifa, or anarcho-communists, or tankies glorifying authoritarian communist regimes.
Okay, I really like this guy because he's being fair. He's being fair. He's like pointing out both sides, because oftentimes these days, the people that will point the finger at the likes of Nick Fuentes, they will never even admit that Antifa exists, and if they do, they won't consider them. They will come to you and tell you, oh, they're not radical. Are you saying they're being anti-fascism? And then they use all the twisting of words. So I appreciate he did say that he was going to look at nuance. And so far, he hasn't disappointed. I appreciate that. Okay, good. Good stuff. Because I'd say people that blow up freaking ICE or try to blow up with bombs ICE facilities, like, yeah, pretty radicalized. Am I right?
We have black pillars holding similar beliefs to looks-maxers in regards to the fact that the only thing that matters is looks, while extending their beliefs outside of the looks realm to an all-encompassing doomeristic view of the world.
I see.
We have hyper-masculine traditionalists and tradwives who think we should repeal the 19th Amendment, and hyper-feminists who think men are the source of all evil.
I love tradwife. My wife is a tradwife, but not an extremist. She's not an extremist, but she's a tradwife.
When you scroll through the trenches of social media, Reddit, or underground internet forums, your first instinct might be to ask, how could anyone seriously think like this?
Yeah.
But if you understood the world much of Gen Z inhabits, and how that world compares to the history of past generations of radicalized youth, this would not surprise you at all. So today, I want to talk a little bit about that history. I want to explain to you why the youth have always radicalized during moments like these, how that radicalization has adapted to the internet era, and offer a way toward maybe, just maybe, not necessarily compassion, but at the very least understanding. And then we can talk about what it would actually take to pull ourselves out of this.
Excellent presenter, I have to say, up to this point. I do want to say that when it comes to compassion, I'm all for compassion when it comes to the victims. I do not, however, have compassion to perpetrators. Just want to say, since we discussed radicalization at this point, right? When someone is radicalized to a point of violence, for instance, my compassion is for the victims. Please.
In order to understand Gen Z's radicalization, we need to look at its contributing factors. It's not enough to just throw up our hands and say, wow, these people are so out of touch and stupid, as true as that might seem in some cases. We need to ask, what kind of world produces young people who think this way?
That's a very good way to put it. Someone is saying, let me read this chat very quickly. Piers Morgan didn't have a good faith interview. Oh, I agree. I hated some of the things Piers Morgan said, like when he made fun of Nick Fuentes because he doesn't sleep around. But then 3 seconds afterwards, because he's saving himself from marriage, if you will. But then he tells us he's a Catholic. I'm sorry, but if you're a Christian, you should never use celibacy until marriage as a point of attack towards another Christian. Now, you could tell me, but Nick is not a true Christian. That's not for me to say. That's not for me to say. But definitely, there are a lot of other areas. For instance, the whole Hitler stuff is where I would strongly disagree with Nick. But the whole thing of making fun of him, I mean, like, go, just get laid. You're so silly. You can't get women. No, a Christian should never do that. I'm just going to say that, but we'll watch it. We'll watch it. We'll react to that one as well. Let's go.
Switching the framing like that can provide us with a perspective that might help cool our anger towards these groups' harmful or hateful beliefs, while allowing us to observe historical trends that answer the question I just posed. Historically, young people are more prone to radicalization when certain conditions are met, and the conditions I want to focus on in this video are economic instability and declining optimism, adults and institutions failing to provide stable meaning and a sense of generational betrayal, and massive technological shifts.
Excellent. Did you notice that all three things happened in 1940s and 1930s Germany? Interesting statement here in chat. Let's check it out. Where is it? Not Interested says, I don't know if he's trolling, but he says, yeah, you agree with Mussolini instead. Yeah, the same Mussolini who sent my grandfather and gave him to the Nazis so that they could take him to the Dachau concentration camp. No thanks. Absolutely not. But then again, I don't know if you're trolling or not, so I'm not going to dwell on that, but I'm just going to say, no, the only thing is that I disagree with people calling everyone who is even ever so slightly right of center a fascist. That I disagree with. But real historical fascism of either Benito Mussolini or Giovanni Gentile, now I strongly resent that and oppose it. So that's that. Let's see. Real Mr. Bra, Nick was obviously hiding his power levels in the Piers interview. I thought he did identify as a white nationalist. He's certainly an anti-Semite. But then again, he also said he's not an anti-Semite. He says he doesn't hate Jews. He strongly resents Israel. But if you disagree with Israel, that doesn't automatically make you anti-Semite. In order to be anti-Semite, you need to hate the Jews based on their race. That's an anti-Semite. And I think that these days, people are using anti-Semite as an expression just to criticize criticism. And that's out of place. That's what I'm going to say about that. That's what I'm going to say about that. All right, let's go.
And if it isn't obvious to you already, all of these kind of work in tandem. One affects the other, and so forth and so forth. So let's go over the first point, economic instability and declining optimism, using a time where mass radicalization of the youth reached a somewhat similar popularity as it has today, post-World War I Germany.
Absolutely.
Germany came out of the war defeated and humiliated, sending the economy into full hyperinflation. By 1923, the monthly inflation rate peaked around 29,500%, meaning prices were doubling every few days. One US dollar, which cost 50 marks in 1920, was suddenly worth 4.2 trillion marks by November 1923. Middle-class savings, pensions, and long-term wages were basically erased, and if you're young people watching your parents' finances vanish overnight, the message is pretty clear. The system doesn't work, and the adults in charge have no idea what they're doing. Hyperinflation got tamed by 1924, but the damage to trust was done. Then, the Great Depression hit. Industrial output fell by roughly 30%, and by 1932, around 6.1 million Germans were unemployed, about 1/3 of the working age.
I knew it was bad, but I didn't remember 6.1 million in 1932 and unemployed?
Population. Historians writing about this period talk about a, quote, lost generation of jobless youth whose entire entry into adult life was barricaded. Being young in 1930s Germany often meant no job, no prospects, and no clear place in society. Does that sound familiar? Now let's talk about how this funneled young people into extremist thinking. In this context, radical political groups became one of the only places offering a story that made sense out of the chaos and a path to feeling useful and important. On the far right, the Nazi Party and its orbit leaned hard into youth recruitment. After the crash, Nazi electoral support exploded from about 2% of the vote in 1928 to 38% by mid-1932.
And then Hitler's youth afterwards, like when they were starting to push the propaganda on the children so that they would grow up into being absolute recipients and in fact vectors of their own ideologies, is insane, which is why I am so passionately against propaganda onto our children in school. Because if you have even slightly looked into what they did during these extreme regimes in the 1940s in Europe and Russia, because it's not like the communists didn't do this kind of stuff. Absolutely they did. Then you recognize the pattern. And today is even more powerful because technology is at a complete different level. Never mind the radio.
Making them the largest party in the Reichstag. Paramilitary groups like the SA and earlier Freikorps units, often made up of men in their 20s, gave disoriented young guys uniforms, camaraderie, and a sense of political purpose.
Yeah.
But the clearest example of this youth funnel is the Hitler Youth. Membership was relatively modest at the end of 1932, about 108,000 boys. But after the Nazis took power and started suppressing rival youth organizations, membership skyrocketed to 2.3 million by 1933 and around 3.6 million by 1934 and kept climbing climbing in the later 1930s. It's important to note that people don't necessarily adopt extremist racist ideologies
Overnight.
simply because of economic instability. But if there's some part of that embedded already within the culture, and then a strong enough, confident enough political leader produces enough propaganda to convince you that your problems will be solved if you attach yourself to these racist ideologies, that's when it really starts to sprout.
And you see, I appreciate again the video. It's really good. I love the method. One thing I'm going to say, I don't know if you would agree with this or not. I haven't got a clue about his politics, but really it doesn't matter. That's why you see when I often tell you, look at what they are doing now. They are taking someone, a specific ethnic group, white people, and they tell us that's the source of all your problems. They need to be stopped. They need to be shamed. They need to apologize. They did this. That's the reason why you're It's the same tactics. It's the same tactics. Now, obviously, there is also extreme racism on the other side where people are like, anyone who isn't white, they're awful, is awful or whatever you want. I oppose that too. The difference, however, is that any form of anti-non-white racism is frowned upon. And you lose your access to your bank account if you do anything like that. You lose your ability to speak. You lose your career. You get fired. And depending on where you live, say the UK, you might even end up in jail if you show strong racist connotations. And hear me out, because I'm going to make a strong point here. If you show strong racist, anti-black, anti-brown, whatever you want, sentiment in your line of thinking, in your public sphere, you will be stopped. You will be frowned upon. You will have consequences. You lose your job. You lose anything. That doesn't make it look like what happened in Nazi Germany. Because what happened in Nazi Germany is that when the politicians and the propagandists, when they were pushing their racist agenda, do you think that people were like, oh, you can't say that it's the fault of the Jews or black or the Roma or the Gypsies and the disabled people? These are the 5 groups that were generally speaking targeted by Hitler. Do you think that anyone who was pushing that propaganda was losing their access to the bank account, being shamed, demonetized online? I know there isn't such a thing, but you know what I mean? No, they were encouraged by the media. It was pushed everywhere. It was taught to the children, and they used all forms of media to push the message as real and true. The only group in our current age that will receive directed, targeted attacks without any repercussion, and in fact with the push of academia, is white people. That's a fact. So what is happening now to white people is the equivalent of what was happening in the 1930s in Germany against Jews, black people, disabled people, Roma, Gypsy, and the like. It's the same thing. In fact, academia was supporting the Nazi. And who is academia supporting now? It's all about white people are horrible, but at the same time, white people don't exist. So the white culture, there is no culture, but they do exist, white people, when we want them to collectively apologize for what they have done. What? As if we were now one single entity, only when you have to attack us. We just watched a video where people were saying how disgusted they were because, oh, I have a certain percentage of European. Oh, it's awful. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And what are the videos and channels that are untouched and still monetized regardless of their racist agenda? Black power. I can prove it. It's the truth. No repercussion whatsoever. They can write the most awful titles ever. It's fine. Nothing. That's the truth. Don't know what to tell you, but it's the truth.
On the far left, there was somewhat of a similar story. The Young Communist League of Germany, the youth wing of the Communist Party, grew into a dedicated militant organization whose membership peaked in the tens of thousands by the last years of the Weimar Republic. So you have one set of youth channeling their anger into nationalist extremism and racial hierarchy, while another channeled it into revolutionary extremism and class war.
I love this guy.
But both sides are reacting to a structural reality where their future was stripped away from them, and in that reality, extremist organizations promise three things that normal institutions can no longer promise, which is certainty, belonging, and a future. Without thinking too hard, you can clearly see how much of this mirrors the material conditions and cultural narratives happening in the West today.
Yes.
The unemployment rate for Americans between 20 and 24 just hit a 10-year high, excluding the pandemic. And for the first time in the last 40 years or so, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates aged 22 to 27 is higher than the unemployment rate for all workers. While renting prices have cooled down significantly, the general cost of living has not. Any Gen Zer can tell you how unaffordable daily life feels now, even with an average job.
He's absolutely right. I want to say thank you to Hippozilla for subscribing at tier 1 on Twitch. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And also thank you everyone else here. Thank you. Then, let's see. Just double checking that I didn't miss any super chat. Real Mr. Bra, come on, he's obviously a Jew. Who is? If he was a woke black homie and said the same thing but swapped with... Oh, you're talking about... For a moment, I'm like, you're talking about this guy, you're talking about Nick. Okay, let me read your first one. Let me read your first comment. I want to put you in front of his face so we know it's not him. All right, so you say, Nick was obviously hiding his power levels. You said that with Pierce. And then you say, he's obviously a Jew hater. If he was a woke black commie and said the same things was swapped with white people, nobody would doubt his bigotry. It's kind of a weird way to use bigotry in this case. Maybe he is. I haven't got a clue. I will say maybe because here's the thing. When people are open against black people, or open against Jews, or open against white people, they will say it unapologetically. So what I've seen from Nick is that often he says that he doesn't hate black people on the basis of their race, and he doesn't like Jews on the basis of their race. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. You know why? Because people never give me the benefit of the doubt. Does that mean that I agree with Nick Fuentes? No, on a lot of things I don't. But I will give him benefit of the doubt if he says that. Then if tomorrow he changes his mind and he starts saying, no, that he hates every single element of black people and every single Jew because of who they are and then whatever, then that's different. Then I'll agree with you. Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, innocent until proven guilty. That's my position on everything. On everything. Even when I attack people who are anti-white, I wait for them to really say it. Because if all they say is, I have nothing against white people, but I just don't like that we did these things. If they keep it like that, I'll be like, maybe not. But it's just that they are very proud of it, so it's very easy to attack at that point. You can disagree with this, and that's fine. But that's how I decided to act online. I will only point the finger and call someone racist, anti-this, anti-black when it's blatant. Jesse, have you seen the crazy rewriting of history by the likes of Tucker Carlson? 1 second. Which implies that the British were the aggressors and other wacky conspiracies. No, I haven't watched that. I'll have a look at that. When you say British were the aggressors, are you talking about World War II, I imagine? What I got out of the interview was that Pierce is out of touch boomer that is also fake Catholic. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, again, it's not up to me to say whether someone is truly a Catholic or not. But some of the things he said did make me cringe when it comes to Catholicism specifically. And not saltings. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we read this one. Okay, cool. But then again, even if you disagree with what I'm saying, I do appreciate, guys, that you share it in a civil manner. I always appreciate that. The stream froze over on Rumble. Apologies, but it seems like it works now. So again, very sorry for that. Thank you, everyone who's being patient. Let's go.
And of course, the rising cost of education throws them into thousands of dollars of debt before they can even get started. In a system like this, it's no wonder that young people are more susceptible to latching on to extremist ideas, because those ideas, unlike the solutions proposed by people who are more nuanced and sit in the middle of the political spectrum, are vivid and establish a clear enemy, which, to them at least, is much better than having no purpose at all. But I want to expand upon that point a bit further after going into the next condition, which usually leads to radicalization in a society. Adults and institutions failing to provide stable meaning belonging and a sense of generational betrayal. But first, I've been talking extensively on this channel about being chronically offline and the importance of that.
All right, so that's the sponsor. Let's see if we can guess it. We always play this game. Can we guess the sponsor? He's saying being chronically online. I think it's going to be some VPN. What do you guys think? Probably some kind of VPN? If it's a VPN, it can't be Atlas because they're out of business. Either Nord or CyberGhost. I'm going to say CyberGhost. It's either that or it's the other sponsor, the one that goes around and checks Incogni. Maybe it's Incogni. So number one, I'm going to say CyberGhost. Number two, I'm going to say Incogni. Let's see. Oh, you think it could be the news site. Oh, so you mean... what is it called again? I know what you're saying. The one that like tells you ground news. Man, if it's ground news, that's a great sponsor. Let's see.
Is really going to be highlighted in the second half of this video, but one thing that's really helped me with that is e-ink devices, and that's why I'm happy to introduce today's sponsor.
We were all wrong. Never heard of this one.
The VWoods AI paper reader. If you aren't familiar, this is an e-ink device that uses a screen called Carta 1300 with a 300 pixels per inch display that manipulates tiny black and white particles. It is the perfect blend between digital and analog and has helped a ton with reducing my doom scrolling addiction. I actually owned a larger e-ink device before, but VWoods device is the size of a phone and I can take it anywhere I go and runs on the Android 16 operating system. It's extremely well designed and very compact. Cool. Now, instead of pulling out my phone during my free time, I can open EPUBs and PDFs of books I've loaded onto the device and read without having to lug anything heavy around. While you're reading, you can also tap a button on the side to use AI to assist you if there's anything complex you need help understanding in your books. Then you can save the answer into your knowledge base stored on the device, so you have a concise and easy way to search for all the lessons. And
you know, that's it's not bad. I'm going to speed him up a little bit, but it doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad. Cool.
Important plot points in your readings. On top of that, if you wanted this device to replace your phone, it absolutely could, since it runs on Android, so you can take calls and send messages too. And although the screen does have a backlight you can use if you're in a dark environment, if you turn the brightness all the way down, it doesn't produce any blue light like phones do, so it won't cause any eye strain or interfere with your sleep. So
I don't know if the blue light thing has been debunked or not. Do you know anything about that?
if you're interested in tackling your doom scrolling addiction and going more analog, you can click the first link in the description and try it out, and hopefully it will replace some or most of your phone usage.
That was a good pitch, I have to say. I'll look it up.
Before the internet became the youth's primary source of information, most of your sense of how the world works came from a few big pillars. Your family, school, maybe a church or religious community, and whatever image of the country you got from news, movies, and politics.
True.
If they're functioning well, they offer some kind of answer to questions like, what matters, who can I trust, and is the future worth working toward?
I want to add one more, the friends you mingle with. Because sometimes while the family has a powerful impact on your upbringing and the way you think in your early stages of your life, as you become a teenager, sometimes you connect so much with your friends and sometimes cousins. So in that case, cousin would be family. But depending, you know, the kind of group that you hang around with is, it can change the way you perceive the world, even against the pillars that your family has produced. So just wanted to say that. But yeah, obviously your religion, 100%.
It's common for the youth to disagree or even rebel against the most common answers to these questions, but they still form a stable backdrop. However, when these institutions start to feel hollow or hypocritical, that backdrop collapses. To see how this played out in the real world and relate it back to today, we can look at the late 1960s and early 1970s in the US and Western Europe. In the early 1960s, most Americans still believed the federal government was basically trustworthy. In 1964, about 77% of Americans said they trusted Washington to do what is right just about always or most of the time.
That's definitely before the hippie movement, 100%.
Within a decade, after the escalation of the Vietnam War, civil rights clashes, urban riots, and the Watergate scandal, that number had dropped to 36%, and by the end of the 1970s, it was around 25%. In other words, the default assumption went from the people in charge are trying, even if they mess up, to they're probably lying. At the same time, the Vietnam War made that loss of trust feel brutally personal, especially for young people. Between 1964 and 1973, the US military drafted about 2.2 million men out of an eligible pool of 27 million. The people deciding on the war were older, and the people forced to fight in it were overwhelmingly 18 to 26. That age gap is the emotional core of generational betrayal. The older people make these catastrophic decisions, and the younger bodies have to absorb the consequences. Then there's events like what happened at Kent State. On May 4th, 1970, National Guard troops opened fire on students protesting the war at Kent State University in Ohio,
Insane.
killing 4 and wounding 9 more. The shootings triggered a nationwide student strike that shut down hundreds of colleges and universities.
Could you imagine if that happened today? They did it in where was it? Was it Indonesia? There recently was a similar situation, and because the troops were, I think, the troops, or maybe law enforcement. No, I think it was law enforcement. Law enforcement shot civilian. During a massive protest, and because of it, the whole government collapsed. The whole government collapsed. People were nuts. There were like millions of people. I think it was it? I don't remember if it was Indonesia. I don't want to say one thing for another, but I remember reading. No, it was Nepal, maybe. It was Nepal. So yeah, but that happened, and it was insane. And so, yeah, they went nuts. There were like millions of people. They actually destroyed some of the houses of politicians. They assassinated some of the politicians. And then the leader, the prime minister, he actually had to resign. And what happened is that, because you could think, but in that situation, why don't they use the army? And the reason is that, yeah, they did use the army in the sense that then the leaders of the rebellion met with the leaders of the army, meaning the generals, and they came to an agreement whereby they decided, all right, then you guys, whatever, elect someone else. And they elected like a member of the coalition of the opposition party. It was a woman, and she became the new government, and so order was restored. The idea of, but why doesn't of course the army could come in with tanks and wipe out half the population, but then who are you going to tax? Not only that, but then you're going to have to look at like decades of guerrilla warfare, because now that you've done that, people will want blood for blood, and your international the look from surrounding countries is going to be terrible. So it's not going to happen. So it's crazy that this actually happened. I didn't remember this one specifically in the US. Yeah, it was Nepal. Exactly. And so that's what happened there. The government collapsed because law enforcement or National Guard, one of the two, shot on the protesters. That's crazy. Yeah.
Think about what that does to you as a young person watching that unfold. The institutions are basically saying that they would rather shoot you than listen to you, and whatever moral authority those institutions held evaporates. A similar pattern played out in France during May 1968. Student protests against rigid universities led to police crackdowns and street battles in Paris, and within weeks around 10 million workers joined a general strike, which was the largest in French history.
Okay, yes, I am reading the chat. No, I'm reading all three. It's funny that someone is saying, oh no, he's only reading Kick, but I'm not live on Kick. So I can't read Kick. No, I'm reading the live chat, but I also don't want to interrupt him too much during live streams, but I am reading chat. So I will. Let me see. Hello, Metatron. Enjoy your YouTube videos very much and just wanted to express my thanks for all you and your colleagues' effort to deliver high-quality content. My pleasure. Thank you, Gav. Absolutely appreciate your support. It's really easy to stop thinking rationally when stuff like hits the fan. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Okay, my bad. No problem, Emmy Music TV. I appreciate that. All right, let's go.
The economy hadn't collapsed like Weimar Germany's, but a whole generation felt locked out by rigid institutions and a political class that refused to make room for them. In both cases, you see the same pattern. Institutions lose legitimacy, younger generations feel increasingly sacrificed or silenced, and more radical movements step in with a satisfying narrative.
Yep.
They say, you're not crazy, you're right to feel betrayed, here's who did this to you, and here's how we fight back.
Exactly.
Talking about this with a bit of nuance though, and I'm going to highlight this again in the later portion of the video, I do think some radical movements are necessary. You know, going on protest for students getting shot, going on this like nationwide meltdown, it's sometimes necessary in order to enact the change that you need. But you know, it is happening in a different sort of flavor here, and that's not necessarily the type of radical movements that I have been trying to criticize throughout this video and that I'm going to continue trying to criticize.
Okay.
These sorts of problems have only been highlighted and exacerbated to the nth degree in modern society.
Yeah.
Using our next condition I'm going to go over, the technological shifts we've received over the past couple decades, every corrupt politician or scandal has been dissected and exposed, leaving little to no room for manipulation. And when you couple that with an increasingly unstable and unpredictable environment, it's no wonder why the youth feels like they were betrayed and the future that they prepared for never came. But by far, what is probably the biggest contributor to radicalization?
I'm really interested in what he's going to say about tech. So we're going to watch a little bit of this, and then I'm going to stop the reaction, because I don't react to the whole thing. Also because I have other things to react to. But I'm really curious to see what he's going to say about technology.
Of all types that has undoubtedly affected all of these other conditions is the rise of the internet and smartphones. The globalization of information allowed us to educate ourselves on so much, but it also made it remarkably easier to fall into echo chambers of misinformation and extremist thinking to help us explain why we feel so lost, empty, hopeless, and displaced.
Yep.
It is not just politicians or people in power who can do the manipulating now. Anyone with enough confidence and perceived authority can lean into your confirmation bias, convincing you that your struggles are due to some singular life flaw or a certain group of people, when the reality is far more complex.
Yes.
Looksmaxing is one of those examples. Often looksmaxers align their beliefs highly with the black pill ideology. This is a sphere on the internet who believe that without good looks, you have zero chance of attracting somebody, getting a good job, or achieving basically any amount of success. But the foundations of society set them up for this kind of thinking. Before someone even considers themselves a black pillar, they're usually someone who's having more difficulty with women than they ever would have in previous generations, largely because the dating market has skewed in ways shaped by technology and a lack of stable opportunities. So what do? They go searching for answers online. Confirmation bias pushes them to focus only on what already feels true, which might be the belief that everything comes down to their looks.
Yeah, this thing about the looks, though, it's so easy really to debunk, because just find one scientist who studied really well and he's a nuclear physicist. Do you think that just because he's not good looking, he couldn't find a job? Like, it's kind of, but then again, if you're in an echo chamber, I can imagine they can tell you, oh, but that's just the exception. But the rule is maybe.
Start consuming black pill content in a viscerally emotional state, and the experiences within that community mirror their own. Slowly, they seep deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole, and that ideology seeps into everything they do. I can only imagine some version of this happened to that clavicular guy I mentioned at the beginning. Because let's be honest here, if technology and social media didn't push us to focus on the more superficial aspects of humanity, if the economy was stable and people had a fairly easy time getting a job and a partner, and it wasn't revealed that basically all institutions are lying to us and there's little meaning to extract from any of this, do you think the thought of I need to become a Chad Looksmaxer would have even crossed this guy's mind? Absolutely not. But the conditions of...
I'll be honest, though, when it comes to radicalized groups, I mean, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. But personally, Looksmaxers are the least of my problems when it comes to radicalized groups that instead are dangerous. I'm just going to say,
society today create the perfect concoction to produce more radicalized young people, because radicalization gives them something to grasp in a world that feels increasingly nebulous. It also gives them a sense of identity, which is unbelievably important when you're young, and something that social media and institutions have broke. And that's another reason why this iteration of society feels so devoid of hope and purpose, even if there might be. At least in the past, if you were going through some shit, you would at least have that friend group or some sort of community, like a religious organization, that you could fall back to that hold the same beliefs as you. But the internet, in all of its individualized, hyperbolized sections, divides humans into extremely specific, unique subcategories that separate you from everyone else in a way that we have never seen before.
that is very true. I had to block a guy because I don't appreciate people putting threats in the chat. So you're gone.
When we gained access to any and all information, it gave us the ability to shape our beliefs into something uniquely our own. But the consequence was that agreeableness, even when it meant conforming to a group you didn't fully align with, began to erode. The amount of identity subgroups on the internet is insane now. There's gooners, doomer zoomers, e-girls, femcels, sigma males, neo-trad wives, based nationalists, anarcho-primitivists. The list is endless.
Goodness gracious.
You might not trust your government, your school, or your parents, but you can trust those guys in your Discord server or subreddit who can understand all the things that you're going through that nobody else can. Or
You know, I'm going to add something to this. You know how you have, when you go to the gym, you get the gym bros, and the gym bros give you the bro science when they tell you like something as if they understood genetics, biology at a high level, but it's probably something that either someone else told them or they just saw after like 13 seconds of Google, but now they're like, this is scientist, bro science. You know who is the equivalent of bro science, but for politics? Shockman. Assam Piker. He's literally the bro politics. I really thought about that. He's the bro politics. That's the same level of depth of political analysis, and the difference between that guy talking politics on Twitch and like an actual political analyst. That's I'm gonna leave it at that. 2 more minutes and then we change video.
you can trust the creator who's telling you exactly why you're struggling and exactly who's to blame. And there's also something a bit more insidious going on with the internet and the feedback loop it provides that I don't think enough people really understand or are talking about. I brought this article up in my last video, but it is simply too important to not bring it up again. This National Geographic article shows how social media keeps you in a constantly deregulated, traumatized state. In the article, there was a study measuring acute stress after viewing the pictures of the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013, and they found that people who viewed more violent imagery were more likely to report post-traumatic stress symptoms like nightmares, hypervigilance, and emotional numbness 6 months later. But this is the insane part. Individuals who consumed over 6 hours of media per day reported more acute psychological symptoms like unwanted dreams, difficulty sleeping, and intrusive memories than those who were actually at the bombing.
Wow. That is insane. Given, doom scrolling is awful. If I spend, you know what I'm doing these days when it comes to X? I make my posts, I don't read the comments. Because I noticed that when I was making the posts, occasionally do, but when I noticed that when I was making the posts, and then I would go into the comments, the level of filth that I had to deal with was to a point that it was intoxicating my day, and then I would be snappy with my dad, or like usually not with my wife because I've learned that one, but I'm in jet also because, I mean, to be fair, I really, really love my wife, so I don't want her to pay, or even at a modicum, the reason that maybe I might be annoyed because of some haters, I'm always going to be like nice and kind. It's just how I am. The reason why I don't do that with my dad is because my dad is so much into politics. Literally, that's all he does. So when he calls me, the calls get quite intense. Even though we agree on a lot of positions, of course, because our politics are very similar. But anyways, just to say, I noticed it was affecting my everyday mental state. So now, I don't even read it. I just post 12 times a day, 14 times a day on X. I don't even care. I just do it because I want to share my voice, and then because it makes me money. I'm just going to be honest with you. And besides, the other day on this note, there was this guy who, I don't know, he has a YouTube channel, but anyways, he was so focused. I don't know if I'll talk about him, maybe not. But he was so focused on trying to debunk me, and he was telling me, oh, you think who do you think you are? You know, and then I was telling him, I'm making my posts here, one, because I believe in what I'm saying, but two, because it makes me money. And he kept having to push this idea. It's not making you money. It's making sense. I'm like, how do you know? It's like, no, I'm an expert of social media studies, and I know that with the views you get on X, then probably you're making like 50 cents. And I'm like, I'm making $1,000 a month on X alone. So basically $12,000 a year just because I rant on X. Okay, I just said it. Full transparency. So yeah, I will do it. Of course I'm going to do it. I'll give 22% to the state for taxes, and the rest I'm going to keep. Great. I'll use it for my baby. I'll use it for my wife. I'll use it for myself. I'll buy a freaking can of Mountain Dew. So of course I'm going to continue to post on X, but at the same time, I'm not going to read anything because it's going to make me go nuts. It's going to make me go nuts. I do want to say thank you to a member for 26 months. You are the man, Spiro. of course, good guy, good friend of the channel. On one of my streams, I covered how Meta did secret studies on people with Facebook without consent. I remember reading that. It has a huge impact on brains. LLM chatbox asked, "Would you like me to?" at the end of their chats to keep you hooked. That is crazy. I do know. Didn't they get sued for it? Because I think my wife got some money for it. She did. She joined this like massive class action lawsuit against Meta or Facebook. And I remember after a couple of years, we got some money from it. It was a little bit of money. It was nothing. But still, I kind of remember that. All right, let me check a couple more chats and then we change video. Fantastic video, by the way. Hassan Piker is sister politics at WTF. I mean, sure. Love your videos, dude. Giuseppe, you're going to see this. Yes, sure, Luke. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. Sorry it took me a while to see it. But I always review the chats. Let me see how things are over here. How are we doing, guys? Yeah, I mean, what can you do? You have to pay your taxes. Now it's tax season. I'm expecting all the 10 because I get a 1099 from YouTube, 1099 from Patreon, 1099 from X, 1099 from Rumble, 1099. You know the number of 1099s that I get every year? And let me tell you, I'm a machine when it comes to, because I'm not messing with the IRS, not in America. I've got a tax expert. She does all the work. We get decent write-offs. So I'm going to say God bless America for that, because in Italy, I couldn't write off anything. So I appreciate this. But apart from that, yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. What is bro science? Yeah, I know, man. If you don't know what bro science is, go to a gym and you'll see plenty of bro science. Yeah, it was Nepal. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Cool. I was really named. That's surreal. Not a problem, totally. I try to name as many people as I can. It's just that I get a lot of people in the comments. So, Luke Pearson. I'm happy to have you here. All right, guys. Good video. I will definitely put a link when this turns into an actual edited video. And I watched more than I was planning. Let's do something lighthearted now before we continue with stuff that is a little intense. I told you it was a spicy stream. But let's do something a little lighthearted. Apparently, someone is pushing nonsense when it comes to learning Japanese, and I want to know that. So let's have a look. Dear friend of the channel, Evil Dia, and yeah, I'll just give direct link in chat. As I say, friend of the channel. He does a lot of, we need to find these fake polyglots. I'm going to destroy your life because you keep saying you're a polyglot, but you don't speak the languages. Investigations, and he's on point. And we do a lot of collaborations together. We react to each other. He's a really cool guy. So anyways, he says, he calls out nonsense. Can I actually learn Japanese in 3 months? Can you? Because it took me 8 years to be fluent in Japanese. So either I'm an absolute cretin, I'm an imbecile, I'm a complete nutjob, failure, or someone is telling nonsense. Let me know. Let's go.
What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So the other day I dropped a video and was like, hey guys, you know, I got some time coming up after my Esperanto exam. I got some fully sick ideas, you know, for testing language learning, doing some experiments and shit. How about we do, like, I don't know, a Mandarin experiment? That could be pretty cool. Or maybe I'll do a Latin experiment. Yeah, that sounds pretty freaking sick.
Tell me about it.
You know what? Let's just throw a troll one in there, you know, the Mikel experiment. No one's gonna vote for that.
Be careful with the Latin experiment. You don't want to accidentally summon a demon. Oh no. Oh no.
Fuck you guys, seriously.
Alright, so what happened?
You guys are worse trolls than me. You're just bad, okay? I literally, over the weekend, spent 5 hours of doing Mikel input. And let's just say that this was not pure CI. There was a lot of incomprehensible input in here. But I friggin' spent 5 hours trying to figure out if the Mikel Learn Japanese in 3-month challenge has, like, anything to it, okay? So I went back. I started watching all of his videos on this challenge. From the first video to, I think, day 21. There was a couple after that, and there was videos missing in between. But I did like 5 hours of fucking Mikkel input for you guys, okay?
Honestly, anyone who tells you can learn Japanese in 3 months, they're a fraud. Automatic, guys. Automatic.
So if you haven't subbed already, you better sub for this video.
Yeah.
And because you made me do this, because you all wanted to troll me, and you wanted to see if we could do this in 3 months...
Uh-huh. Oh, he's gonna show us.
I'm gonna make you sit through 20 minutes of Mikkel input. Just to give you a taste test
Let's go.
of what I went through.
Alright.
But realistically, okay, when I started going through these videos, and I treated this like a serious exercise, I wanted to understand his methods, his ideas, and like what we would actually need.
For those who don't know, this is a specific content creator he's talking about. I'm sure he'll show you. In fact, I can see right here that that's where he's going to start and showing. He's one of those content creators, language gurus that will make promises and then they'll tell you they have a special source, special thing. And I love how methodical he is. So we're not going to watch his entire video, but I am looking forward to the section when he's going to talk about that because it's going to be great. Vote Shall says they voted the troll. Yes, they did. You'd have to be a genius. Not even that. You would have to be a non-human. 3 months for, I don't know if he promised fluency, but usually when people say learn a language, you will learn this language in 3 months. At the bare minimum, even if we want to be like as forgiving as possible, it means high level of conversational, like maybe not fluent, but then if they promise fluency, it's automatic fraud. Because in 3 months from scratch Japanese, you learn like, how to introduce yourself, like kind of basic A1 level. And I mean, if you're particularly efficient, you already speak another language, you're really good, you know what you're doing, maybe you could be like, hey, I can express myself, but you will still struggle monstrously when it comes to understanding them speak back to you, and your vocabulary will be severely limited. You're not even going to be intermediate, like not even conversational. It's impossible. In 3 months, no.
To do if I was to do this experiment, and I say if I was to do it because as you're going to see during this video, it doesn't really make sense overall. Like, I understand what he was trying to get at, but I could see that the experiment quickly unraveled, okay? So to give you a very high-level summary of what happened during the 21 days of Mikkel's experiment and the additional couple of days that, happened at the end there. Basically, it started with him coming in. He was, like, cocky as fuck. He was gun-loaded. He was gonna take on the world type of thing, Slapped that meat out, was like, look at this shit. I can do this, and you guys, if you can't do it, well, then you're just weak-ass. You're not an athlete like me. And these are his words, and you're gonna hear these words, okay? But then we hit week 2, and things started to change, okay? I think reality started to set in some ways, but he was still the Mikkel that we all know and love, okay? And then it got kind of like worse, and things that he said he wouldn't do early on because, well, you would want to wait until you're at a more intermediate stage, he started kind of doing. And then he became kind of scatterbrained and was just doing random shit, okay? And then by the end of it, it all ends in the most glorious of videos, realistically. It ends with him, and you guys, you gotta watch this video, okay? Wait until the end of this video. You gotta go through all the Mikkel input with me. We gotta understand this experiment. But when you get to the end, you'll see it, okay? You'll see it happen live in his face. He goes to kind of like prove his level after 20 days. And
so this guy put 20 days into Japanese and he thought he was going to be fluent. This guy that we'll see in a second. And then he obviously failed. So what are you going to do then?
He sits down and he starts watching a Japanese podcast. And I've checked with my community. This podcast is somewhere between an A2 and a B1 level of Japanese. And let's just say that, it did not go as planned. Okay, so let's begin. Let's hear Mikkel's challenge. As you can see on the screen right here,
let's see if it's nonsense.
Japanese in 3 months experiment.
Let's talk about learning Japanese in 3 months. There's going to be a lot of talk about learning Japanese in 3 months because I'm going to try to... No, I'm not going to try. I'm going to learn Japanese in 3 months.
Oh my god.
You see what I mean? It's not like, I'm going to try. No, I'm going to learn it.
Faith needs to be based on a true principle. There you go, I said it.
Like, let's just make sure everyone knows this. For those who are new to the channel and don't understand what's going on here, this challenge that was set by Mikkel happened over a year ago. He did not complete the challenge, okay? He did not do the entire 3 months. No one made him do this. No one said, Mikkel, you have to do this, but he was out to prove something.
I talk a lot about learning languages fast, and there's always someone in the comments, a bunch of people in the comments, saying that that's impossible, even if there are lots of people who've done it with a bunch of different languages, and there will always be some.
Okay, like, he's like, yeah, but there's always lots of people who've done it with a bunch of different languages. Well, we can't add Mikkel to that list, because he ain't done it yet.
Sort of excuse.
Okay, so apparently if we are unable to do the challenge within 3 months, it's because, you know, we're obviously come up with some type of excuse. Mikkel, my man, what is your excuse?
This channel is about results.
I freaking love him. Again, guys, if I understand that we don't have a lot of explanation here, so I want to give you just a mini tour of what this is. For those of you, this is Evil Dia. It's his channel. Look at his face. And what he does, he literally looks for people who are frauds, false polyglots. And he has so many videos. That he fluent or just faking it. He has so many videos. So whenever he sees, I freaking love his content. Whenever he sees someone who makes promises that are absolute nonsense, like, again, I became fluent in Mandarin in a week, or nonsense like that, he goes into the deepest, most insane investigations that you'll ever see. How many languages does Patrick speak? And look at this, look at the list of languages. It's a joke. Like, it's become a meme these days. See, this is where he was talking, how many languages does Mikkel Telere really speak? And in fact, so what this video is, again, we're gonna watch him as well, but what this video really was is that, as you can see, he set out to prove that in 3 months he could have become fluent in Japanese. Clearly failed, because it's impossible. But it's not the first time that he tackles him. And to give us a little bit of perspective, I want to watch a tiny little bit of the beginning of this so we know what we are talking about.
What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another polyglot investigation, and today we're going to look into Mikkel, the hyper polyglot. If you guys have been in the language community long enough right about now, you would have seen videos from this guy coming out, because he literally makes a video every single day. Like so this is the YouTube channel in question right here, as you can see, Mikkel hyper polyglot. And if we have a look down,
actually, one video a day for me would be a vacation, would be a holiday, because I post 2. Usually. Today I'm not posting the second video because we are live, but generally that's what I do. Yeah.
Down here at his videos, he pretty much drops a video every single day in English or Spanish, and it's basically about his specific system that he uses for language learning. Now let's have a look at his more information now to find out what he says. Welcome to Natural Language Learning. My name is Mikkel. I am a language coach and polyglot. I speak 12 languages. I developed a highly efficient language learning system. But he hasn't defined yet exactly which languages he speaks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check out a clip of him where he appears on TV and speaks a little bit.
Okay, before we jump into that, I want to see a couple of things in chat. What have we got? People writing in Japanese. We appreciate that. Boku no Nihongo wa heta da yo. So you're saying that your Japanese is not really good? Well, you're writing it nicely, so we appreciate that. Anata wa machigatte imasu. You are mistaken. You are saying, so you're talking among yourselves. Okay, that's fine. So that's a translation from Google. Nihongo de kaiwa dekimasu. Okay, cool. And then, so you guys keep speaking Japanese. Actually, I would prefer if you keep it to English, actually, so that other people, yari ashigaru with an A, though. That's how Japanese is Japanese. Yeah, that's correct. Then again, I mean, you're free to use whatever language you want, but I'm just saying maybe so that other people can understand you, it's better to do that. You can say you speak 12 languages, but what's your fluency level exactly? Like, I could say, warum? Dankeschön in Japanese, in German. Can I add the language now? It's ridiculous. Sometimes people do ask me how many languages I speak, and it's a different question from how many languages are you fluent in or professional in, and that the number, of course, will change. But I'm not going to just add languages that I can't even hold a basic conversation in, because it would be nonsense. It's just one of those ways to be like, this way I can claim the a polyglot label. And this label has become so ubiquitous now. So many people say they're polyglots these days that they had to invent a new one, the hyper polyglot, because now it was too normal to be a polyglot. Everybody is a polyglot. So now you have to be, well, then how am I going to be special? Oh, well, I'm a hyper polyglot. It's nonsense. I'll never use it. I don't even care. How many languages do I speak? I would say 7. Fluently, 4. So am I a polyglot? No. I'm multilingual. I'm passionate for languages. But this is nonsense. I hate the term polyglot. Don't you dare ever say, this is Metatron, he's a polyglot. Don't you dare. It's an insult, as far as I'm concerned. It is an insult. So, yeah, let me see what you guys are saying. Shouldn't a hyperpolyglot just call himself a hyperglot? At that point, yeah, I guess. I don't know if they use it that way. But yeah, learning Japanese, I think I'm learning Japanese. I'm really not, though. Maybe you are. Italian, English, and Japanese. What's your 4th? Well, I am double native in Italian and Sicilian. Then, yes, English, Japanese, and French would be the following. And then I am lower conversational, kind of intermediate in Mandarin, because it was my minor at university. So there's that. Yeah. How are you guys doing on Twitch? 3 not enough. Well, 3 is decent, my friend. Actually, 3 is impressive. As a Romanian, I can promise you. Yeah, you're a Romanian. Yeah, seeing a thumbnail saying it's easy to learn Romanian. Yeah, of course it's not. Ce faci? I'll tell my Romanian friend. Learn any language in 3 months. That's such nonsense. Come on. It's unbelievable. Let's go.
Hortik, poliglota eta hiperpoliglota. Noiz da poliglota eta noiz hiperpoliglota?
Poliglota baten definizioa da, 4 hizkuntza edo gehiago hitz egiten ditu norbait. Eta hiperpoliglota bat, duela gutxi arte ez nekien zer zan, baina da, 6 hizkuntza edo gehiago hitz egiten dituen norbait.
6 gora beraz hiperpoliglota.
Hori da.
Oso ongi. Zuk zenbat hizkuntza dakizkizu?
Egunen arabera, baina 10 esango nuke.
10 esango zenuke? Egunen arabera, bat 10, beste 12.
Ez denak maila berdinean, eta batzuk
Yeah, so he speaks 12, so let me see. What is he going to say?
Okay, so he says that he's a hyperpolyglot. A hyperpolyglot here is defined as someone who speaks more than 6 languages, and he says he speaks between 10 and 12 languages. We still haven't narrowed down the languages, but we're starting to get an idea of his claims. Okay, now if we take a look at this YouTube video right here, we've got polyglot speaks 8 languages, and he lists out the languages right there: English, Basque, Spanish, German, French, Italian, Romanian, and Russian.
We got Italian and Romanian, guys. Let's see, people, Romanians in the chat. Let's see if we could see a clip of this, because that would be insane. I'm gonna check the Italian. That's crazy. Oh no, you are saying it in Japanese. Metatron ga poligloto desu. I'm not a poligloto. Freaking polyglots. I don't want to be associated in any way, shape, or form. You can check German. Ooh, we've got some checking to do here. We're gonna have a good time. I'm having a great time. I don't know about you.
Russian. Now we're going to take a look at a second video which comes out, came out a little bit more recently. And again, we've got multilingual conversation with hyperpolyglot, and we've got the languages English, Spanish, German, French, Portuguese, Italian, and Russian.
What's really annoying about this is that some of these people, the fake polyglots, they are like nothing. They're nothing. They are not able. They are not skilled. They're not talented. They don't speak any language apart from their native tongue. They are complete, utter frauds. But then there are other people, and maybe it is the case of this Mikel guy, I don't know. But there are other people that are talented. They are skilled. But they are not a hyper 12 language speaking polyglot. If they just kept it real, maybe he does speak some of these languages to a decent level. And so why don't they keep it? It's this whole thing about hyperpolyglot that when I hear it, for me, it's immediate. Okay, for me, it's automatically nonsense. And then it's like you're guilty before being innocent. You know what I mean? Innocent before, what is it? Innocent until proven guilty. For me, it's guilty until proven innocent, the English way.
But we still do not have the full list, as evident from that. Now, if we take a look at the International Association of Hyperpolyglots, which is something Mikel talks about being a part of, he actually lists out his languages here: Basque, Spanish, English, German, French, Romanian, Portuguese, Italian, Russian, and then he's got Dutch, Arabic, and Ukrainian.
I wish there was an Asian one in the midst. like Mandarin, Japanese, because those would be very easy for me to spot and see, okay, this guy is like maybe, because again, if you're A1, A2 for the European Common Reference, frame of reference, you shouldn't even add the language. You should add the language as something you're studying. That's different. But you shouldn't claim it as a language, like with a little freaking flag.
So here we've got 7 languages listed. But if we go to his LinkedIn page and we jump down to the languages section, which is usually right at the bottom, you will actually see the full list of 12 languages just there. And we've also got a rating, a LinkedIn rating. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this LinkedIn article right here, and we're going to scroll down and we're going to figure out how the LinkedIn matches to the CEFR. So if you have a look here, we've got elementary proficiency, that is like A1 to A2, limited working proficiencies like B1 to B2, professional working proficiencies are C1, and then full
Personally, at least an advanced B2, as far as I'm concerned, you could add as one of the languages you speak. You don't have to be like C1 or C2, but like if you're A2, B1, you're a student, so you shouldn't act like a guru in that language. You should remove the little flag. That's just me.
Professional proficiency is a C2, and then you've got a separate one for native and bilingual. Okay, now I do need to warn you guys, I've actually made 2 videos on Mikkel in the past, but they were not about his language abilities. They were actually about his system that he claims to teach. And the first one was Hyperpolyglot, basically makes a bold claim you can learn any language in 3 months. I made a video on that, broke it down, and just showed that basically that was impossible, except for maybe in very, very specific edge cases.
Even the edge cases, I'm going to say impossible, unless you're like, you already have some kind of predisposition in the sense that maybe you're trying to learn Spanish and you're Italian, so there is a strong connection, and perhaps you have family members, so you've been in an environment where you've heard the language your entire life, but that's not from scratch. That's not from scratch. But even then, it depends what you mean. But if you mean fluency, still, if you put me in Spain for 3 months, I'm not going to be fluent. I might be conversational, but it's simply because there is a common ground, and also because I have experience in learning languages, so I know how to optimize, right? But anyone can learn any language in 3 months is a clown statement. Oh, but this is a great statement, though. I love it. The user. I am a polyglot. I know English, American, and Texan, but I'm only fluent in the last one, the best one. I love it. It's funny.
Then a second video I dropped was basically, Mikkel, you owe me a 3-month update, which was talking about his Japanese challenge, which he started and then silently kind of just killed off. And the reason that one was important is because it was meant to prove his system of language learning to learn any language in 3 months. And he was using it to learn Japanese and then suddenly went quiet on the whole thing. And then I dropped this video 6 months later asking for the 3-month update.
Fantastic. And I'd like to say, as someone who did reach provable fluency in Japanese. My Japanese isn't perfect. My pitch still needs work, but I am fluent in Japanese. It took me 8 years, 4 of which were a university major. The other 4, not just a major in Japanese, it's a major in compared civilizations and cultures with a strong subsection into languages. Just want to make it clear, because then people say, oh, you claim that you have studied history, but now you say you have a major in Japanese, you're a liar. No, it was a complex university degree course that I specifically chose, because half of it was focused on languages and the other half was focused on culture and history. I have to say it because, yes, believe it or not, that is one of the accusations that I've received by, for instance, the likes of Bad Empanada, Freda, and those guys. Actually, I'll retract that. I don't know if Freda said it, but I know Bad Empanada did. And in general, when it's like the left wing section of my haters, the radicals, they usually use that to be like, oh, he just has a language degree, he never studied history, but he claims, no, I absolutely did study history. I was allowed as a history student into the secret Vatican archives with my class. Secret makes it sound as crazier than it is. They are private, but you don't get access if you're not a history student anyways. Whatever. This happened when I was a student. So yeah, I did take a lot of courses into Roman history, into medieval history, into the Crusades. Obviously, I did that. I thought it was obvious, but believe it or not, I have to defend that. Still, the major was Japanese language and history and culture in a comparative key with the West. That's what I studied at university. And yeah, I don't even remember when I was going with this, but in general, I was just going to say that's that. Let's go.
So I am coming in this with a little bit of a bias because I have obviously critiqued his systems before. So I do need to warn you about that. And therefore, I'm going to try and keep this as much just on the facts and less of like my own personal thoughts. Cool. Although realistically, I have had interactions with the guy, but you are now aware of that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to map his languages onto the Common European Framework. For those who have never heard of this, this is a system for basically analyzing someone's abilities within a language. If you're at A1, it means you're just started out the language, you've got the pronunciation, you've got some basic greetings, some basic, questions and answers, nothing too fancy. Then when people talk about fluency, they generally mean a B2+, which you can see is...
See, I didn't know that that's what he said, but that's exactly what I say. I think if you're fluent, generally speaking, it means an advanced B2. We are in 100% agreement with this. And I'd like to underline, when it comes to the Common European Framework, people will say I'm arrogant. I'm just trying to give you my perspective. But I used to be one of those assessors, examiners that gave you these licenses for English. One moment, sorry. Just checking, making sure my wife is okay. Sorry, my wife was checking on me to see if I was hungry and I wanted her to make me some food. That was cute. So no, I was saying, I know how these work because I used to be an examiner. I worked for Sitting Guilds of London and I used to do this. I used to be the guy that you have to do the exam with in order to get this. And that's why I think it's normal. And so, yeah, for me, I know how these work really well. But for him, he also knows them well because we came to the same agreement when it comes to fluency.
Right here near the back end of it. And then a native is generally C1, but an educated native will be a C2. Now, this does not take accent into account. People always ask about this. We don't care about accent with this type of thing. This is just your ability to create sentences and express ideas.
And as a former examiner and assessor, I'd like to underline the only way in which you use the accent when it comes to giving these is only if it's so broad that it impairs communication. So if you have such a thick accent that people can't understand you, even if your grammar is perfect and your vocabulary is flawless, you will lose points during an exam and you might not be given the level. So accents do play a role when it comes to this, but it's a secondary role. Likewise, if you have someone who is so good, you are so good when you speak whatever language that is your target language for foreign language acquisition, and you basically sound almost like a native, yeah, I mean, it will be taken into consideration in the spoken part, be like, man, this guy sounds really good. But if your grammar is a mess and your vocabulary doesn't work and you don't understand the questions, then your accent will be once again secondary. So it can be like a little cherry on top, if you will, but you can still get a very high level all the way up to C2, even if you still have an accent, as long as it's a light accent and doesn't impede communication and understanding. That's the professional evaluation of that.
And also, please be aware that this system is not like a linear progression. It's more kind of like a curve. So there is a bit of a difference there between like a B1 and a B2.
Massive.
Okay, so what we will be doing is referencing this community document I put together, the Evil Deer and Community Investigation of Mikel. As you can see, we've got all the information in here. And then we've got reviews from both natives and then also learners of each one of the languages he claims, at least where there is actually evidence available. Because with Mikel, for the majority of his languages, there's actually not that much evidence available, for example, Dutch and Arabic. So what I've done here is I've actually basically taken all of that information I've showed you and I've mapped his languages onto the common...
So let's have a look. He is pretty good then in several languages. So at least, you see, that's why I was saying maybe he's one of those who is talented, but he just needs to add this notes. How many did he add? 2, Arabic and Dutch. So he's completely elementary and he should not add them. This Polish and Ukrainian limited working, so these 2 shouldn't be added. So these should be the languages he knows, at least when it comes to this investigation.
European framework. Now you'll notice right around the middle there, I've got elementary, limited working, professional, and full professional.
Right.
That is the LinkedIn definitions for these levels. And you probably also realize that apparently all of these languages for Mikkel are C2. Now I'm going to...
Oh, that's what he claims? Okay, so that for a moment I was like, man, this guy must be good. No, this is his claim. We need to see. So, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Man, for a moment, for once, I was trying to say, man, you see, so this guy's right. Maybe this guy, he still shouldn't say what he said, but maybe this... No, this is his claim. So probably reality is completely different. Oh my gosh. The claim is insane. I'm so looking forward to see how he dismantles him then.
They also realize that apparently all of these languages for Mikkel are C2. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm pretty sure Mikkel didn't understand what full professional meant on LinkedIn and just marked the languages he felt comfortable in as full professional. Because I highly doubt he meant that he is a C2 in all of these languages.
Of course.
Now, the ones in red are basically his native languages.
Okay.
Spanish is a native language. He did grow up in a Spanish-speaking environment, although Basque was actually his home language. So please be aware of that. But like all those others, English, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, he just marked them all as being full professional, which maps to a C2 if you...
Oh, I'll tell you. If we see some Italian, I'll tell you. Laur says, or Laura, hey, it's my first live stream. Yay, good to have you here. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's lovely to have you. And then Kevin says, all of British English does have stories and reasons for where the sayings and terms come from. Of course, yeah, the cultural aspect is really interesting. And then the user formally says, so the accent tells you when the accent matters, otherwise it doesn't. Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Use that article that I showed you, but realistically, I think we should be pushing these 2 to the left. So you might have noticed that generally he doesn't tell us what his abilities are in different languages, and we're basing it literally just on that LinkedIn language list. And to be fair, that's not really a good way of taking someone's claims into account, because it's not really a claim. It's just kind of like putting your languages on LinkedIn type of thing.
Right.
So realistically, he hasn't made a claim to his individual level in different languages.
He's being fair.
So we're just going to start off with this, and then we're going to move them into their actual position after having analyzed his abilities, and then that will be basically where he is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're basically going to work from left to right, from Arabic to Dutch, Polish, Ukrainian, and then all the way until we get to the end. Now here for Arabic, and also for Dutch, you'll notice that we literally have no evidence of him speaking these languages.
Can you imagine you claim to be a hyper, ultra, mega, giga polyglot, and then you provide no evidence whatsoever to the public to demonstrate? It would be like me telling you, guys, I speak Japanese really well. Never made a single video about it. There are multiple videos of me speaking Japanese. Not scripted, by the way, for those who are going to accuse me of the contrary.
Learning these languages or anything like that. Now, that's not to say he doesn't speak those languages. It's just that he hasn't released any content of him speaking either in a scripted or an unscripted environment these languages. So based on that, I've scratched out Arabic and Dutch. But again, he may speak these languages at different levels. We don't know. We just have no evidence of it. So now let's take a look at his Polish. Okay, so according to this document here, it's actually quite hard to find him speaking Polish anywhere, and the only thing we've actually found was a LinkedIn reference to this video right here, which is now unavailable. And if we go back to the document, one of our reviewers had actually previously seen this video, but it seems like he's deleted it or made it private for whatever reason. As you can see here.
Look, definitely not above A1. So I could claim that in Polish. I'll just learn a couple of swear words, like the one that starts with a C and ends with a URVA. And hey, I've got A1 in Polish. I want to see the Italian one. I'm so curious. Wait. So what have we got here? Let me see. Let me move. I'm sorry. One moment. I need to see this. So this is some Russian, I guess. Ukrainian, that's Ukrainian. I speak A1 again. Oh, unbelievable.
Most of the videos with Ukrainian are dated late 2022.
So these are natives who are listening to him, claiming to know the language. A1.
Could not find any newer examples. At the time, he said he was just learning the language, and I confirmed that his level is definitely an A1. He demonstrated good pronunciation for his level, but most of his training videos consist of him sitting on a website for over an hour, listening to Ukrainian, not saying a word on his own part.
Right, so we have no idea he has improved or not. Okay. So Russian, we get a B1, B2. I'd estimate to be an A2 with hints of B1, so he should remove Russian as well. What's the next one? That's Russian. Okay. Ukrainian. Here he's speaking a little
Another
bit.
one for anything, really. Like, you can tell stories with it. You can prepare everything you're going to say at work in a specific situation. Basically, what you need to do is write down. This takes time, and it's quite a lot of work, but write down, or you could join my course where you've got a pre-made list of language islands that you can use. But yeah, you write down a list of all the things you normally talk about. It's a good idea to look at your day-to-day life and write down what you've done today, like all the places, all the conversations you've had, all the interactions, all the things you've talked about. It takes some time.
His English abilities are high, as expected. He has
Right, but then I would like to underline what we just heard of his English. Clearly, he's conversational. He can speak the language. Okay, great. But I know illegal migrants that, like in Italy, that speak English like that. In Italy. So the reason why I'm being like this is not because I want to kick him down. His English is good. No one is saying that. But when you talk excellency, when you say, I am so good, I'm a hyper polyglot, then I'm expecting that when you speak English, an extremely common language, I should be like, man, this guy sounds like a native. He sounds American. He sounds English. That's what I'm expecting. Not just because it's a matter of pronunciation and accent, but in general, I need excellency. If you're going to be a guru, you need to have excellency. If the way you speak is the same as pretty much everyone who's in this chat right now, and they can understand what I'm saying in English and whatever, then why is your method so special? You see where I'm going with this? I'm trying to be fair. But anyways, let's...
Has the typical foreigner accent, but that's for sure understandable.
Okay,
he can pronounce both of the TH sounds, but it's hard to tell since his microphone quality is so bad. He's fluent for sure. His English level is probably a B2 to C1. And they say, I think he is probably a C1 to C2, and then down E1, but it could be a C2. It's hard to say, but realistically, he's completely fluent in English. There's no problems with his English. Okay, let's move on to French.
Maintenant, je pense pas que je suis en train de lire un livre en français. Parce que j'habite à côté de la frontière ici, au Pays Basque. On va souvent en France. Quand je voyage beaucoup. Quand je voyage, j'ai l'habitude d'acheter toujours des livres. Mais je ne me souviens pas maintenant quel est le dernier livre que j'ai lu en français. On va en France la semaine prochaine. Alors, j'achèterai de...
I'm understanding him, so his pronunciation is fine. Foreign, but fine. So is mine, by the way. When I speak French, I sound foreign. So I'm interested to see what natives are going to say, but I would already put like a B1 here, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me see what are they going to say. They're going to say, yeah, A2. So I was actually too generous, believe it or not.
That he doesn't think he's currently reading a book in French, which is a weird thing to say. The rest goes off tracks and it's pretty incoherent. The topic is, again, just about learning languages.
I'd
probably give him an A2. Lots of mistakes, huge pauses, no variation, topic, low level of vocab. Incomprehensible in parts. Since it's a live conversation, he struggles much more. His pronunciation often makes him difficult to understand. I would give him an A2 at most, just because of the error frequency and the difficulty shown in completing even basic sentences. There's a massive contrast between the second and third video. He seems to struggle a lot more when he's in an active, unscripted discussion. I think that's definitely suspicious. Plus, the person he talks with sounds like a beginner, and I don't think there was much difference between the both of them.
See, that's what I mean. Like, what's the point of going into hyper polyglot. Let me see if I can find Italian then. So what is this one? German. We could check his German, but I'm sorry, I want to know his Italian. I'm too curious. Is this it? What language is this? Can't see it because it's covering it.
If you consider the fact he pauses often, in that case, I still wouldn't go anywhere below a mid to high B1. With all due respect to reviewer one's legitimate opinion. Okay?
Oh, they talk about the reviewers. That's cool. Let me see. Romanian. We could check Romanian in a second. Let me see.
Portuguese.
Se você quer aprender a falar...
Wait.
Italian down to a B1. Okay.
Oh, that was Italian? Oh, I need to see. Give me Italian. Is this his Italian then interview? Let me see.
Seria facile.
See, it's Italian. Okay, guys. I'm going for it. Let's go.
To be able to really make a proper judgment. Okay, Italian.
Right.
L'italiano l'ho imparato quando vivevo a Berlino. Sì. Quando vivevo a Berlino c'era un scambio linguistico italiano-tedesco. E volevo conoscere delle persone e sono andato là e io pensavo che l'italiano, perché non è così differente dal spagnolo, sia facile, ma prima volta che sono andato in questo scambio ho visto che mio tedesco era abbastanza buono.
In the more recent...
Yeah, so people who are giving him a B2, they are being too generous here. Obviously, do remember, he comes from a Spanish native language, right? He's Spanish, and now he's trying to speak Italian. Okay, let me try and... I don't want to be rude or anything. So there are some grammar mistakes. Of course, when I speak English, I know that I make grammar mistakes myself. But I have to say, that sounds like, yeah, it's an A2. It's an A2 who gets pushed a little higher simply because he comes from a common Romance language. He sounds foreign. That's not a problem, though. In fact, I personally find his accent endearing. And whenever I hear someone trying to speak my language, I appreciate it. So it was nice to hear him speak Italian. There were several grammar mistakes. He also said seria, which is basically mixing Spanish with Italian. And that's something that only beginners do. So it's not impressive. And once again, the only reason why we are being so nitpicky, because under any other circumstance, I want to make this clear, I would have praised him. I would have said, man, I really appreciate that. You're doing great. Yeah, like keep going, man. I really appreciate you learning the language. You're cool. I love your accent, by the way. That would have been mean in any other circumstance. But due to the fact that this is the guy that is hyper polyglot with 12, 13 languages, he sells you his courses, he's got the method, he claims you can learn any language in 3 months. Well, you didn't. That's why we're being so nitpicky with this now. And I'm sure you will understand that. Anyways, cool. Enough about languages for now, but this was fantastic. I love Evil Dia. He's such a good detective when it comes to these things. I really wanted to hear Italian. But since we talked about polyglots, we need to check out Language Simp and see what he's on about, what he's up to. But before we do that, let me see what chat is doing. Let me put chat in the middle, and then we'll see what Language Simp is on about. And then we're going to look at Metroid, because there is a video about it. Yeah, you could tell it's clearly a struggle. So how can you be the ultimate ultra teacher if you're struggling yourself? You need to master something before you can teach it. This is just what I think. And it comes with anything. Could you imagine if you want to learn how to fix a freaking air conditioner and you're learning it rather than from a professional who can do the job like this because they've been doing it for 10 years and they know what they're doing. You're learning it from someone who's like, wait, I don't know. What panel is this? What kind of screwdriver do I need? I don't remember, man. I think it was that one. Does this work? It's not working now. I don't know why. Do you want to learn how to fix it? No. So clearly, first master a skill, then teach said skill. I think it's a reasonable thing to expect. And he didn't use his hands while talking. Exactly. Yeah. It's just one of those things, I suppose. No shame in being a bit. Absolutely no shame, as long as you don't claim to be C-freaking-2. You know what I mean? One type of scammer is another type. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. There's a lot of... Again, I don't know if it's a case of scam, because I don't know, is he asking for money? Probably, but I'll leave that to the lawyers. They say alleged this and alleged that. Are there even some truly legit hyperpolyglots out there? Yeah, probably like Leonardo da Vinci in the Renaissance. It's difficult to say, really. I'm sure there are people who are extremely talented. There is one guy, he's a Mandarin learner, he's English, and he's an absolute genius. But that's the language he knows, Mandarin. So he's a specialist. That's the language he knows, and he's phenomenal. We'll look into him, not tonight, because I don't want to make it all about languages. So this is the last language video we're going to watch, and then we're going to move on to something else. But there will be a time soon where I'll react to him, because this guy is phenomenal. And I love to underline true talent when I see it. I'm curious if CLD has done a video on... Yeah, Xiaoma. Oh, yeah, New York City. Yeah, Xiaoma 在纽约. Yes, both of us did, but he did. I think we have several videos on Xiaoma. Absolutely. Xiaoma is such a freaking troll. Literally. He is very talented. His Chinese is good. Not the best speaker of Chinese. He might think so, but he's not. He's a good speaker of Mandarin, though. But Xiaoma has this thing that he learns three words and then goes and says, the white guy shocks natives in their language. So he has this thing. I mean, he made a lot of money for it, so who am I to shame? To each his own. Look at him as an entertainer. When it comes to Xiaoma, it's entertainment. That's what it is. But talking about entertainment... What have we got? Levels of polyglotism explained. Oh, this is gonna be so funny. Let's go.
Assalamu alaikum i dobro požalovec na moj kanal. My legal birth name is Language Simp, and I'm a hyperpolyglot gigachat alpha male who is very attractive to every woman and man on the planet. One of the most frequently asked questions in the language learning community is how many languages does a person need to speak to be considered a polyglot? What about a hyperpolyglot? And could there perhaps be even higher levels of polyglottism? Well, today I'm going to explain every level of language learning, all the way from being a monolingual beta to speaking every single language in the universe.
Guys, for those who don't know, this is sarcasm, okay? This is comedy. He's doing it on purpose, just so you know.
So let us know which level you're at in the comments, and also tell us which country you're from so we could judge which one has the most accomplished language learners. If you speak one...
Have you ever heard of India?
Language, you are a monolingual beta. You most likely just speak the language of the place that you spawned in. You started learning this language while you were in the stomach of your birth parent, and then you were spoon-fed the rest of it while you were growing up. Therefore, your fluency in this language means absolutely nothing, and you are a beta. You, for whatever reason, don't understand the appeal of learning a language. Maybe
don't you hate that Facebook little thing with the guy that looks like it's a man, but it's oh my gosh, that is... Yeah.
You're sheltered, close-minded, not very curious about the world, or perhaps just American. The only possible way you could shock natives at this level is with a taser. You reek, but if you're a monolingual beta who now wants to learn a language, your stench is not as noticeable. You've seen the light and taken a linguistic shower. Even I was once a monolingual beta. If you speak 2 languages, you are a bilingual Billy. You may simply have parents from 2 different cultures. Perhaps your father is a native femboy German speaker, while his husband, who is also your father, is a native spicy Spanish speaker. Or perhaps you got a lucky spawn in a DLC region where 2 languages are widely used, like Barcelona or Montreal. So effectively you're native in both of them. But if you had to learn your second language, that's much more impressive. You've broken out of monolingualism and you are now lingualized. Bilingual billies are one step up from monolinguals on the food chain, and thus they admire you. Normies think you're smart and cultured, and women may be attracted to you. If you speak 3 languages, you are a trilingual Timmy. The odds of getting a spawn that make you a trilingual Timmy by default appear low at first. Perhaps you were born in Luxembourg or Singapore, but also many spawn points in India will force you into trilingualism at a young age.
I love the gaming, by the way. I love the gaming thing.
And the odds of spawning there are astronomical. I suppose you could alternatively come from a multi-ethnic polyamorous family, but chances are slim. This is the first level where you're truly impressive, and you can begin using your languages to peacock in an attempt to attract a mate.
Isn't it like polyamorous another way to say you cheat and your partner or your boyfriend, girlfriend is fine with it? I never understood that. But I mean, consenting adults do whatever you want.
No longer just someone who learned a language. You're now a language guy.
Yeah.
To the average American, the concept of speaking 3 languages feels about as impossible and mind-blowing as the concept of the United States having free healthcare. If you speak 4 languages, you're a quadrilingual Quenisha. There's not much difference between the last level and this one. It's a bit easier to aura farm at this stage, and your charisma stat is increased, but the difference is subtle. Quadrilingual Quenishas naturally alpha-mog trilingual Timmies in the wild, but most normies will react the same way whether you say you speak.
You know what's crazy? It's actually true, this thing. How like people who don't speak languages will react the same whether it's 3. It is actually true, which is what makes it funny.
3 or 4 languages. Many people in the Balkans actually spawn as quadrilingual Quenishas. This is due to a glitch known as the Balkan exploit, where Serbian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Bosnian are all the same language, but called different things. Therefore, technically, someone from this region speaks 4 languages by default. But if you speak 5 languages, you are now a polyglot, and you're officially allowed to sell a course or book on language learning to people at lower levels. Which is why I'm selling the Hyper Polyglot Handbook on languagesimp.com for 30% off during the holiday season. No, I'm editing the video right now and I've decided it should be 40%. So 40% discount on languagesimp.com. Use code Christmas. 40% off, code Christmas.
40%.
Seriously, 40% off for the holiday season. I want everyone to accomplish all their New Year's resolutions with languages, and I hope that you're learning Arabic this year. Or next year, I guess. If you're
Yeah, I mean, if you are in England, I'm sure you're going to learn it in actually Urdu, isn't it?
a polyglot, you're well-versed in multilingualism, and you're automatically respected everywhere you go. At this point, you've most likely unlocked communication with NPCs from a large portion of the world's DLC regions, unless you've been grinding small languages like Albanian, Sinhalese, and Uyghur. Everyone thinks you're a genius, a gifted savant who has done the impossible.
Believe it or not, that's why there is so much false polyglots online, because they love the attention. It's really what it is. It's just another way of saying, I'm special.
So women flock to you, and even small, typically skittish animals will feel comfortable in your presence as they can smell or echolocate your multilingualism. This is the first level where you unlock a superpower. You now have the ability to reliably excite natives with your tongue. Natives shower you with hospitality, gifts, and attention when you shock them in their language, and sometimes they even do backflips. You've maxed out your charisma skill tree, and you can flawlessly switch from one language to another like a circus monkey to entertain monolingual betas for a side hustle or even a full-time career. If you speak 6, 7 languages, you're still just a polyglot but with an added language or two, so we call you a polyglot plus. Some organizations claim that speaking 6, 7 languages makes you a hyper polyglot, but that seems too low in my humble opinion.
And it's insane that this stuff is actually real. Like, of course, this video is comedy, but this stuff is real. So the International Association of Hyperpolyglots, so according to them, am I a polyglot? Because they never tell you what level you need to have in order to claim it. Do not call me a hyperpolyglot, ever. To me, is a personal insult, and I will take offense. Just so we're clear.
It's important to note that Polyglot Plus is the level where heterosexual people of the same gender will begin to find you attractive. However, if you speak over 8 languages, you are a real hyperpolyglot.
Okay.
At this point, you're an expert language learner. You most likely have almost all of the world's DLC regions unlocked, and your tongue can move, curl, and roll in every direction in 3D space permitted by Newtonian physics. You also unlock the ability to have IRL subtitles when you're speaking with NPCs at this level. Your oral abilities cause natives to involuntarily backflip as your words infiltrate their slow and fast twitch muscle fibers in a process not yet understood by biologists. Monolinguals stare at you in awe as you blow their minds with your tongue, and the only way to hoard off the unwanted attention from monolingual betas on the street is to wear a muzzle. But if you speak over 15 languages...
Ooh, ultra polyglot. Man, do people actually use that? Oh, please tell me they don't.
is you are an ultra polyglot. You've done the unthinkable and learned so many languages that you probably can't even remember which ones you speak. You shock natives so hard that you risk giving them a heart attack when you speak in their tongue. Monolinguals can't even look in your direction. There's a
Heart attack in Japanese is shinzo hossa or shinzo mahi if it's a cardiac arrest. I don't know why I said that. Maybe they will give me hyperpolyglot ad honorem. Maybe.
A glowing aura surrounding you at all times, and your brain is overflowing with swagger, causing you to rapidly shift your thoughts from language to language with energy you harnessed from the Tower of Babel. You no longer fear the Luo Dingo Owl. He fears you. At the ultra polyglot level, you unlock a variety of superpowers. You can move objects with telekinesis, and you can sometimes no-clip through hard objects like walls, although this is difficult at this stage. The most famous ultra polyglot is a friend of mine, the great Steve Kaufman.
You know, maybe I should make a video about Steve. He seems like a lovely guy when it comes to... I mean, yeah. I'll leave it at that.
One day, him and I were enjoying coffee at a quaint cafe, and when I told him I didn't speak Swedish, he telekinetically lifted me off the ground, propelling me through the roof of the building. And he wouldn't let me down until I bought a subscription to Link. Then I watched him, I kid you not, walk straight through a wall out the side of the building. Seriously, this happened. Click the link in the description if you want to watch the video. If you speak over 50 languages, you are a super polyglot.
Man, would you put super over ultra? For me, ultra is more than super. So if I was, you know, if I had any say into the nomenclature here, I would say first you have super polyglot and then you have ultra polyglot. But that's just me. So super polyglot, guys, 50 plus.
The name super polyglot comes primarily from the fact that this is the level where you unlock the most superpowers. Your tongue is now strong enough to lift a blue whale, and it can also now maneuver in non-Euclidean planes, allowing you to make rare, exclusive noises previously thought impossible for humans to utter. If you shock a native, a lightning bolt comes out of the sky and kills them. You can now also reliably walk through walls, shapeshift, fly, and even shoot lingots out your ass at the speed of light. One confirmed super polyglot is my friend Richard Simcott. He's a very humble and handsome guy, but one time we were in Prague, and when I told him I didn't know how to speak Uzbek, he snapped. He shapeshifted into a giant eagle and flew me on his back to Boysun, Uzbekistan, where he forced me to study Uzbek to a D1 level.
Yeah, as Rebecca says, do we have a super duper polyglot? Because I mean, yeah, at this point, am I right? Why just being a super polyglot?
If you speak over 100
mega polyglot, it's never gonna stop. And look at the face. That's a Redditor face, though.
languages, you are a mega polyglot. You no longer need to eat, as your body burns all the Anki decks you've memorized for fuel. You've unlocked virtually all DLC regions on Earth, including areas inhabited only by animals. You most likely speak a variety of animal languages, and the mega polyglots I've met spoke aquatic languages such as largemouth bass, lobster, and even femboy lobster. And some mega polyglots have even learned communication at the cellular level and can speak bacteria through means of microbiology.
Speak bacteria. Wait for the book. Wait for the book.
Biological signaling with single
Yeah, honestly, after this, it's gotta be omni-polyglot. It's gotta be omni-polyglot. I absolutely agree. We need omni-polyglot. I bet he tells penguin jokes, absolutely. Man, scratch the reverse. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, ultra. I love this, though.
Organisms. But tragically, harnessing your powers at this level gets a little dangerous. When you shock natives, they explode with the power of a nuclear bomb. If a mega polyglot were to film an Omegle video shocking people from around the world in various languages, humanity would end and a nuclear winter would commence. You've unlocked intergalactic travel and you no longer need oxygen. To breathe, you simply inhale your words as you say them, and your blood is made of liquid grammar. And finally, if you speak
Oh, they did it! He did it, guys. You predicted it. Man, you're so much sharper than me. Omniglot.
every single language in the universe, you are an omniglot. Your atoms are now replaced with words held together by covalent pronunciation bonds. And if you choose, you can even transcend outside of your body. You're
so
capable
funny.
of having meaningful conversations in the over 7,000 currently known languages in the world. And hypothetically, the billions in the universe, including conlangs, ancient dead languages, sign languages, and you can even speak plant through linguistic photosynthesis. However, despite knowing it, most omnipolyglots refuse to speak Esperanto.
Oh, that is funny. Oh my gosh, they refuse to speak Esperanto. The whole situation. Esperanto is such a meme when it comes to the language learning community. And my friend Evil Dia actually does speak Esperanto. But this is like, if you understand the meme, then that is good.
The only confirmed omnipolyglot in the Milky Way galaxy is Wouter Kortewener. So in conclusion,
I don't know who that is.
Who cares what you are at the end of the day?
Right.
These labels, including polyglot, are stupid, and they'll keep you trapped in a cycle of comparison and shame. Yes, I say I'm a hyper-polyglot gigachad on this channel, but if you were to meet me in person, I'd probably just say that I love languages, and I'd list the ones that I've studied.
Exactly.
I recommend you do the same so that we could avoid this whole cringe label game
Thank you.
altogether. And that's the video.
Awesome. Man, that was funny. Man, that was... I'm going to say this is one of his best. His best still remains, I believe, the one about French. I think that one is my favorite. But this... Man, that was great. That was really funny. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right, guys. So... He didn't give any penguin jokes. Yeah, I know, that would have been fun. So generally speaking, I just wanted you to know, my next video that I wanted to react to was this one, beating Metroid, how Nintendo intended. I'm gonna have to push it to either tomorrow or in general the next live stream. Mostly because I'm starting to get a little bit of a headache. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take some ibuprofen as I usually do. And I don't really function well when I have a headache. So I think... I'm just not going to push it. Normally, I would have reacted to this, and then my original plan was to play a little bit of video games. If my headache goes away, I might come back live later to play a little bit, but it's more likely that I'm just going to call it a day, and because I don't want to, I don't want to push it too much, particularly when it comes to the possibility of a headache. Yeah, I don't want to mess with that. So I think that's going to be the end of the stream for today. But in general, I mean, it was a good stream. We had how long? Let me see. How long have we been here? I don't even know. I'm trying to see. 3 hours and 53. Yeah, basically 4 hours. Anyways, thank you so much, guys, for joining the live stream. I really, really appreciated it. You were all awesome, as always. And I'm just going to call it a night. And yeah, next live stream soon. Then we're definitely continuing Still Wakes the Deep, which is a fantastic game. But apart from that, I'm going to go get that... painkiller, and I think I'm just gonna have dinner. Thanks for streaming. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciated. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So as we always do, first we disconnect. 1 second. I'm gonna disconnect. Where is it? Rumble first in 3, 2, 1. Bye, Rumble. Then I'm going to disconnect YouTube in 3, 2, 1.